moves. Then the orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
We're living through a monetary crime scene, and your IRA or 401k is a key victim. Hi, Dr. Ron Paul here. In 1971, gold was $35 an ounce. After the dollar was cut loose from it, inflation soared. And in just 9 years, gold hit $850. People who diversified into precious metals survived and thrived. Today, we're in a worse position because we face inflation and massive debt. Fortunately, gold is still an option. My trusted friends at Birch Gold Group can help you own gold inside your retirement account. Plus, you pay 0 penalties on the transfer. Start now by getting a free info kit on gold. Text the word SECURE to 989898. We're facing the same monetary chaos as the 70s with significantly more debt. Get your free info kit from Birch Gold. Just text SECURE to the number 989898.
Joe Fallon did something smart. He saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With that money, he commissioned a portrait of himself. Does Joe already know what he looks like? Yes. Do guests know what he looks like? Also yes. But not as art. It's Joe's savings, and if he wants to spend it on a velvet painting of himself with a white tiger at his feet, we say, roar, Joe, roar. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now it's the final days of our Everything's on Sale event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses. Our Memorial Day event ends Monday. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
What if you had the most reliable, fiber-powered Wi-Fi and the price didn't change for 5 years? Thanks to Xfinity's summer savings event, you don't have to worry about that part of your future. Now through June 15th, get gig Wi-Fi for just $50 a month for 5 years with equipment and unlimited data included. No strings, no commitments, and get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. You're guaranteed 5 years of Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi that keeps you protected online from threats. Plus, you can even try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions applies, requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account, taxes and fees extra. After 12 months, regular rates apply to mobile select. Xfinity Internet required, speeds vary, use of fiber, coaxial cable.
You're listening to the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs on Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan.
All right, thanks to James Marilat for joining us, courtesy of the Birdie Bar in Louisville, the premier indoor golf bar in downtown Louisville. Locally owned and operated. You can find them at birdie.bar on the web and Instagram. Speaking of the web, we just had a very handsome, dashing young man in here. You could probably see him on the YouTube, Champ Honda YouTube chat channel, thing like that. If you want to get involved in the program, you could certainly do it that way. We are live. The Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs live. Broncos talk is what it says. We did actually talk a little bit of Broncos with James. So if you want to get in on the chat line there, you are more than welcome to jump in. Josh Dover came in. We're having a little technical glitch, and he came in. He did absolutely nothing. He was absolutely of no help whatsoever. Joe. So, no, I'm just giving him a hard time.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.
He's trying to steal all of our listeners over on the big KYGO station. So, good to see Josh Dover. I showed him the spot on the rundown where we take a run at him later in the 12 o'clock hour because I was listening to something with Josh and Jake yesterday that had me shaking my head. I'm like, what? At 2 Dover? You want to know the funny thing about Josh Dover? If you go to his neighborhood, like right around where he lives, it's called Dover. I saw the sign 2 days ago. It was "Welcome to Dover." I wish there was like a Jacobsville I could move to, so I could.
That sounds awesome. I used to live off of Dover Street in Westminster, so I used to give Josh crap.
Yeah.
Be like, so do I pay like my property taxes to you or what, Josh?
Yeah. On the RamosLaw.com text line, somebody is texting in. They sent in a picture, and it appears to be Brandon Stokely, Peyton Manning, and I can't see the guy. Oh, I zoomed in. I don't know who the guy in the middle is. But yeah, they were supposedly at the concert last night. So, but I don't know, do you go to a concert twice? Like if you're Peyton Manning, you go to the suite and you're hanging out in the suite. Do you go a second night if they say, Peyton, we want you to walk up? Oh, was that Eli? I couldn't hardly see it. All right, so Eli. So does he come a second night if you get a chance to like fire up the crowd? I don't know. Is that not cool? Like, there's certain things that are not cool. Like you can't wear the shirt of the band. You can wear a Broncos jersey to a Broncos game, but you can't wear a Metallica shirt to a Metallica concert. Is that correct?
What? No. Why wouldn't you wear a Metallica shirt to a Metallica show?
I thought either that or if you're in the band, you can't wear your own shirts band.
I wouldn't do that. Yeah, that'd
your
be
own
a
band
little weird.
shirt?
Well, like if you at the press conference, most people are not wearing Broncos gear while they're asking Sean Payton questions.
Well, that's the press. I'm talking about like fans, or I guess the members of the, like for example, when Bo Nix comes over and does his press conference after practice, he's wearing Broncos stuff. So yeah, I don't know. There's some. My buddy Dave Mall was talking about it the other day. He's like, why is it in sports you can do this, but for bands it's taboo? Where's the dichotomy in that? And I'm like, I don't know. But I don't think you see, like, for example, the Eagles never wear Eagles gear while they're up eagling, soaring.
Whilst eagling?
Eagling? I don't know. What do you call it? 970 Brian says, Brian, are you listening on KARS in Larimer and Fort Collins? I'm trying to keep an eye on this stuff. Agree with the Merrill at 100%. Bednar had no answer, no adjustments on the power play, game plan, lines, no marker board the entire series. He just stood there with his hands in his pockets, looking scared and clueless. Now, we have to be careful because our Avs fan lost their minds on James last week when James suggested what he just did moments ago here on the program, which was Bednar didn't really do anything. He just looked like he was just standing there mean-mugging with his goofy haircut and his hands in his pocket. I don't think James was really suggesting that Jared Bednar did absolutely nothing. Obviously, he's still controlling line combinations, and he's doing a little bit. But I think James's point was he wasn't fired up. And Bednar's been on the record, I believe, in the past saying, it's not a coach's job to inspire the players to play up to their level, which is weird to me. You would think that is the whole point of a coach, or one of the major points. Like, one, come up with a scheme or a system or a strategy that highlights the strength of your team, and then also develop your team in a manner that has them playing at the top of their games, however that looks. But apparently, Jared Bednar is in the group that says, well, they're professional players. I can't do anything about if they decide they want to play hard or not. I have no impact on that. Well, if you have no impact on it, then why are you here?
I mean, you're right. I feel like a coach needs to be both a good motivator and a very smart, like X's and O's type person. And if you're going to be bad at one, you better be great at the other. Like if you're going to be Mr. Coach Klein, then you better have Mr. Coach Klein's playbook. If you're going to be not a motivator, then you better be a really smart X's and O's guy. Is Jared Bednar that?
Well, I think what they're saying is the system is not the problem, at least in the regular season. He does a good job with that, which is a different question, which we are going to have kind of throughout the show. In the playoffs, they say he's not, right? They say in the playoffs, Jared Bednar is like John Fox or whomever that just cannot seem great during the regular season, can't seem to get the job done. But that is not all that uncommon when you have a great roster, right? Like, oh, yeah, you had this great team and they played great during the regular season and they won a lot. Well, talent generally will do that. But if you can't win in the playoffs with said roster, what's the point? And we've seen that kind of sprinkled throughout history. Doug Collins being replaced by Phil Jackson is a kind of a common one. Phil Jackson, I don't know, who did he replace? Del Harris, whoever he replaced in L.A. is a common one. We saw it this year with Torts replacing Cassidy in Las Vegas. Like this happens, and it can make a difference. Our question is, though, who would that be? And it's a valid question. What I don't agree. So I was listening to Evan Rawal on with Dover and Cecil, I believe yesterday or 2 days ago, and he's the beat writer from, I believe, the Denver Gazette, and it's like, well, yeah, but who are you going to replace him with? I'm like, dude, there's probably a ton of guys out there with experience, not even including, because none of us know. Like, are we going to pretend that we know, as laymen, the top up-and-coming assistant coach from a roster? We probably don't know that, but we do know, for example, that Bruce Cassidy, as soon as he gets done bickering with the Vegas Golden Knights, he's probably going to be available. A guy like, Daryl Sutter, if he wants to coach again, probably a pretty good prescription for that. Like, I looked, there's several coaches out there that kind of fit the mold of tough guys, not necessarily not player coaches, like players like them, but still have that demanding, disciplined style that probably you need to win in the playoffs, because those are the teams that seemingly defeat the Avalanche every single year. And the other thing we're missing here is it's not so much a question of has the roster become stale or immune to Bednar's message, but it's also, has the roster just become stale? Like you typically see, like we were talking about with the Thunder, like they only had 1 year where they won, and now we're already talking about could be the end of their championship if Wemby and the Spurs now come to the top of the mountain. It was like that was a pretty short run for the Thunder. Like they got good, they spent years getting good, then they were the best in the league, and then if they lose tonight, that's probably it. Who knows? Like it's been a half a decade since the Avalanche were at their peak of their powers in the playoffs. Do they even still have it in their current, form on the roster? We're going to continue getting into that. And by the way, looky here. If you want to know what the morning show is going to be saying in the future, just listen to the Dan Jacobs Show today.
Summer is calling, and we're sending you to the lake in style. Download the Denver Sports app to enter our Day at the Lake contest for your chance to win everything you need for that perfect lake day. You get 2 paddle boards, 2 chairs, a cooler, pop-up tent, and Bluetooth speaker. Oh, and did we mention you also get a $250 gift card to fill up that cooler? Download the Denver Sports app now and enter today. We'll see you at the lake. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
DeerTrailMeatCo.com. DeerTrailMeatCo.com. We're just ramping up the barbecue season. The weather's getting nicer. You want to dust off that grill or that smoker. Fantastic time to go to the website and check out what they got going on at DeerTrailMeatCo.com. As you're aware, anytime you go to the grocery store, you will see that the beef prices have exploded. We're talking about, I used to get flat iron steak for $4.99 a pound. Now it's usually $15 or $16. Ground beef, $1.99 a pound. When we were kids, maybe 99 cents a pound. But recently, not that long ago, you get under $2 a pound. Now we're talking about $6+ a pound for ground beef when it's on sale. Not at DeerTrailMeatCo.com. Savings of up to 75% off the grocery stores, and that includes steaks, roasts, everything. They deliver it to your front door with a money-back guarantee. Check them out, DeerTrailMeatCo.com, DeerTrailMeatCo.com.
Running a small business means juggling a lot. Your network has to handle it all. That's where a fiber-only provider falls short. You deserve a partner who gives you a greater advantage. Introducing the Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A first-ever combination of the largest, fastest fiber-powered network, the most reliable Wi-Fi, gig speeds with equipment and security included, and a 5-year price lock. Plus, it's all backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee. The Total Solutions Advantage only from Comcast Business. A new standard for small business with reliability, security, and savings in one. When you add it all up, no one does business like Comcast Business.
Switch today. Get started for $60 a month for 12 months when you add an advanced solution to a qualifying internet package. Limited time offer. New customers only. Requires 300 megabits per second internet, security edge, and additional qualifying service. 1-year agreement, paperless billing, and autopay with bank account required. Taxes and fees extra. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA Fixed Broadband Experience Report, May 2025.
This is Terry Wickstrom. I want to tell you about a financial product I personally really believe in. A home equity conversion mortgage from Mad River Mortgage, your reverse mortgage specialist. The HECM program's only requirements are to live in the home, do basic upkeep, pay property tax and homeowner's insurance. No monthly mortgage payment is required. For more information, contact my friend Mike Rabin at 303-396-2804 or go to madrivermortgage.com. NMLS 1504779.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-330-8323 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-330-8323. That's 800-330-8323. What do you have to lose? Call 800-330-8323. Again, 800-330-8323.
Stoke here for ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Are you in the market for a new air conditioner? Well, hold on. You need to think about a heat pump. My team at ROX are Colorado's heat pump experts and rebate specialists. Get up to $12,000 in energy rebates and credits. These savings are incredible, but they're only available for a limited time. Only at ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
It's the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs on Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan.
All right, back with the Dan Jacobs Show. Want to check in on the Shop Honda YouTube line? Let's check out the chat line. Chris_Bro22 at Chris_Bro22 says, Avs skate pretty but can't beat disciplined teams. And our number one fan on the channel at Roy Osborne 1066 says, I agree, Chris. That's one of the things I do like as we kind of unveil this Shop Honda chat thing here on this show, at least, is I like that the listeners can, get together and talk. Now, so far, it's been like they kind of unify against us as the hosts, which I don't know if I love that. I don't see them really mixing it up. Like they kind of come together as a Dan Jacobs Show family. And let's be honest, not necessarily against me. Oftentimes it's against James so far. Like this is only the second week we've been doing this. But I do like the fact that the listeners can interact. So go check us out if you like the show. One of the ways you can support the show and let station management know that you support the show, it's absolutely free. Just go to youtube.com, go to the Denver Sports channel, and then watch the Dan Jacobs Show right there on YouTube and engage in the chat. We appreciate that.
Also, like, comment, and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe. There you go. Now, it's funny because speaking of Avalanche fan and Nugget fan, they like to remind me of something that I said. I don't even remember exactly when I said it. I think I did say it 2 years ago. Wherever it is, if you're out there on the RamosLaw.com text line or the Shop Honda YouTube chat line, you may know better than I, but I do admit to saying this. I'm not going to be like James last segment. Did you catch that, Joe? when I busted yet another one of my teammates here on the station crying about, Dan, you're twisting my words. I never said that. When he said that Von Miller was a bigger star in this town, or bigger star than John Elway. He's like, I never said that. I never said that. I said, James, it was a headline on DenverSports.com. You can Google it and look it up. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I did say that. I did say. See, these guys, man, Chad and Zach and John and James in particular. Oh, I never said that, Dan. You're just lawyering me. Busted. You did, in fact, say that. But so, I don't know, a year or two ago, I had said the window for the Avalanche and Nuggets were the championship windows. Like, the reality is they were not going to win any more championships. The windows were closed. Now, that doesn't mean they weren't going to play anymore. That wasn't going to, they were going to go like, well, Dan's right. No season this year. The window's closed. We'll come back. We'll be like SMU after they got the death penalty. We'll take a year or two off, and we'll come back when we're ready to play. No, of course they're going to go out there and compete, and they still have some talents on their roster. But the reality was, with my deep, hard-hitting analysis and psychic abilities, I was able to foresee the future, which happens, by the way, a lot on this show. In fact, that's why we say, if you want, I love all the other shows. I love The Drive, Dover and Cecil, and The Morning Show. But I always just say, if you want to know what they're going to be talking about on their shows in the future, you just listen to the Dan Jacobs Show today. And what, lo and behold, what did we hear our good friend Mike Evans saying on the morning show this week?
Jared Bednar's still with us as the coach of the Avalanche.
What's the latest?
Nope, nothing new to
report. We haven't heard anything.
Other than he's still the coach. Are you surprised?
No. What did I tell y'all yesterday? When did I think the news was going to drop? Do you remember? I asked the question.
Yeah, you said it would. I am going to say the same thing about the Avalanche that I said about the Nuggets. And unfortunately, I didn't get what I wanted. But you got to go in a completely different direction with both franchises. The windows have closed for both teams, Stoke. Here's the stark reality. The championship windows for these two teams have closed. And so both teams need to move on to different coaches. Both teams need to shake up their rosters. The Nuggets have already shown that they're not willing to do that. Now we'll see what the Avs do. I will also mention this about the players, okay? Since winning the Cup, it's been 4 years in the playoffs since winning the Cup. They've had one trip past the second round. They've had no playoff wins beyond the second round. And here are the players who have been there for all 4 of those years, along with Bednar. Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Josh Manson, Val Nichushkin, Logan O'Connor, Devon Tays, Arturi Lehkonen. Gabe's been here, but that certainly comes with an asterisk. So you're talking about a significant chunk of your core has been here for all of those playoff flameouts. So again, Bednar needs to go, but if you're going to put all this on Bednar, you're setting yourself up for a rinse and repeat next year.
Boy, talk about being slippery. Mike Evans, man, he came on my program, what was the last holiday? Was it Memorial Day? And I was giving him a hard time about Jared Bednar, and at that point, he was saying, oh, no, it's Bednar's fault, huh? And he was totally against, he was wanting to scapegoat the players, basically, and he even said you could scapegoat Jared Bednar, and I'm like, well, how's he a scapegoat, Mike? He doesn't win. I laid out the entire argument that Mike just now laid out again about how they don't succeed in the playoffs and things like that. And he was trying to say, well, Dan, I'm not buying this. The argument has grown stale, that the coach's message has gone stale. And I said, Mike, that's not really what we're saying when we're saying Bednar has to go. It's not a matter of the message has gotten stale, because Mike's like, what, was the message stale during the regular season when they're winning all these games? And I said, Mike, that's not the issue, that the message is stale. The issue is it doesn't work in the playoffs and hasn't worked in the playoffs. He's been there 10 years. He's had this crazy talented roster. They were able to break through 1 year, which again, through my keen analysis, Joe, we can attribute that in large part to a prime Nazem Kadri lifting this team out of its psychological funk that it gets into every other single year.
Thank you, Dan. I really appreciate that.
But now I know what you said, Joe, that, well, a window can't close. You can't open and close a window. Well, certain windows you can open and close, like here in the studio. You can't open and close those windows. At my house, I frequently open and close windows. But I know Dante said the same thing, and you said the same thing. So how would you respond now to Mike saying the windows are closed?
Well, they're not closed because you still have a good chance to win a championship. You may not have the best chance of every team in the league, but your championship window is still open. If you are a coach away from winning a championship, the window is by definition still open. It's definitely closing. It's a lot more closed than it was last year and the year before that. It's getting worse and worse, but like a team with, say, like a 4 or 5 year playoff window or a championship window probably only gets one championship. It's just, we feel like these teams in both the Nuggets and the Avalanche should win more than one, but the window is not closed until Jokic and McKinnon/Makar are off of the team. You always have a chance. It's just, it's way more closed this year than it was last year, but it's not completely closed. It's closing.
By the way, I will correct you on that. We've done some in-depth analysis on that, and teams that have the level of talent that the Nuggets and Avalanche have currently had the last half decade throughout history have won multiple championships. Not one every 5 years, but like multiple championships, which is why it's so frustrating. Because we've never, with the Avalanche, yes, we saw it before. When they first got here, they had a Hall of Fame type roster, and every year Pierre Lacroix would even add more Hall of Fame pieces to it to try and go all in and win a championship. So we were kind of used to it with the Avs. It's an embarrassment of riches. With the Nuggets, though, no. Like the Nuggets, we always just felt we're never going to win an NBA championship because we can't get a star player to come here. Even when we draft Carmelo Anthony, he's going to leave. Lo and behold, we drafted our own star player who actually likes it here in the Mile High City. But the consensus feeling was, well, he's going to end up being a surefire top 10 all-time NBA player. Nathan McKinnon knocking on the door in hockey as well. They both have been widely considered even by opposing fan bases as the best players in their sports. Typically, throughout history, those types of players win more than one championship, which is another question we're going to have next hour, is how often do you see it 5 or 6 years later, a championship team with largely the same core just all of a sudden wakes back up and wins a title? I don't know that we see that very often either. All right, 1 hour down in the Dan Jacobs Show. 2 more hours to go. Coming up next, I heard a lot on the drive. Do the Nuggets really have to take a gap year?
Parents, looking for a fun way to get your kid active this summer?
Are you kidding me?
The Fan's third annual Be a Mentor, Be a Fan Youth Football Camp is back. Brought to you by Walmart. Saturday, June 27th at Denver South High School's All-City Stadium. Your child, ages 8 to 14, will learn the fundamentals of football in a safe, hands-on environment from people who played the game at the highest level. We're talking former Denver Broncos Mark Schlereth, Philip Lindsay, and Brandon Stokely, along with a trusted coaching staff from Denver South. And every dollar raised goes to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Colorado. So your family is giving back just by showing up. Sign up today at DenverSports.com/camp. That's DenverSports.com/camp.
Jacob's Law, 303-LAW-4040. 303-LAW-4040. Had a good outcome. We were talking about it in the meeting. Had a client who didn't know who I was, didn't listen to the Dan Jacobs Show, signed up with a big made-for-TV lawyer because he just didn't know what else to do. And there's no question, it was not his fault. He should have been getting compensated by the insurance companies, but the insurance company said, nah, we're going to deny coverage for reason X. This big made-for-TV lawyer said, sorry, can't help you. We're going to release your claim. Somebody he knew and that cared about him said, you need to call 303-LAW-4040, 303-LAW-4040, and speak with Dan and his lovely wife, Kimberly. We took a look at the case. We said, that just doesn't sound right. We looked at what the insurance company was saying as to why they denied coverage, and we just went to them. We said, that's BS, right? And they go, yeah, you're right. Here's $25,000, which is everything they had on the limits of the policy. Client was glad he made that call to 303-LAW-4040. If you do so, you'll get the same treatment. You'll speak directly with me or my lovely wife, Kimberly. We'll come up with a plan to get you taken care of. Save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. is 303-LAW-4040.
In a city full of choices, your savings destination is Groove Toyota, the oldest family-owned Toyota dealership in the Denver metro. Over 300 new Toyota Tacomas, only $399 a month lease. Visit GrooveToyota.com. $399 a month Tacomas, built for the Rockies. Priced for you. Buy today in person or at GrooveToyota.com. Start here, go anywhere.
Closed and lease for 36 months with $32.99 due at signing. Zero security deposit. Unapproved credit. Call 720-961-4465 for complete details. Offer expires 6/126.
We're living through a monetary crime scene, and your IRA or 401k is a key victim. Hi, Dr. Ron Paul here. In 1971, gold was $35 an ounce. After the dollar was cut loose from it, inflation soared. And in just 9 years, gold hit $850. People who diversified into precious metals survived and thrived. Today, we're in a worse position because we face inflation and massive debt. Fortunately, gold is still an option. My trusted friends at Birch Gold Group can help you own gold inside your retirement account. Plus, you pay 0 penalties on the transfer. Start now by getting a free info kit on gold. Text the word SECURE to 989898. We're facing the same monetary chaos as the 70s with significantly more debt. Get your free info kit from Birch Gold. Just text SECURE to the number 989898.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first, on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
Hey, Stoke here for ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Summer is coming in hot. Don't wait. Beat the rush with an early bird cooling system tune-up and inspection for only $49 from Rocks Heating and Air. They'll inspect your system and keep you cool when everyone else is scrambling. Call ROX Rocks Heating and Air today and schedule your tune-up before the end of May. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Now you go to Denver Sports. Like, subscribe, and share. Is that what we said, Joe? But yeah, so you can, look, it even says the Honorable Judge, Dan Jacobs, live, 5/30/2026. Go ahead. Do us a favor. Let us know you're out there. And then if you want to, you can get in the chat, the Champ Honda YouTube chat. Roy Osborne says, I'm in inpatient treatment center right now due to the Avs collapse. It's called the bar. Ha ha. Actually, wouldn't the bar be outpatient? Because if you're not going to stay in the bar overnight, like at some point they're going to ask you to leave, are they not, Roy? You're going to have to go. You can't just stay there. So I think that's more of an outpatient treatment center. But I get you. And R Husker 6569 says liquid triage is good. Well, to each their own. All right, I wanted to. Oh, somebody's trolling me. The Avs and Nuggets are the DeLorean of sports teams. Looks fast in the neighborhood and running to the store. Put it on the track, though. Weaknesses are exposed. You know, I don't know that I can dispute that. I don't know that I disagree. Look fantastic. What do they used to say about certain players, steak eaters and bus riders? looks like Tarzan, plays like Gene, stuff like that. Yeah, they are. They're kind of the DeLorean of sports teams right now. It's quite depressing. It's quite depressing. So do the Nuggets have to take a gap year? Now, I mentioned earlier, I love listening throughout the week to my brothers here on the station, my teammates. And I'm taking this fairly seriously when Zach By is saying that I've sharpened the numbers, the pencil, and kind of crunched some numbers. The Nuggets are likely going to have to take a gap year because of a potential salary cap Armageddon situation. I perk up and listen. And so I'm like, well, what exactly does this mean? And so I give the same disclaimer basically that Zach By gives out when he starts to have this conversation, which is it is incredibly hard to understand what the heck any of all this means with the repeater tax and all these taxes and things like that. But we try and run things through AI, and AI is problematic because they get things wrong. But I tried to do my best to figure out, like, what exactly is the Nuggets salary cap situation and how does it look? And can we talk about it in a way that's not, just doesn't want to make our head explode, right? Like, can we have a serious conversation about it that makes some sense? And so I did a little bit of research, and what it appears to be is, first off, they have to make a decision. Do they want Payton Watson or not? Because he's going to be another 20-some million dollars a year. Are they? I was surprised to learn. I was operating under the assumption that the the Denver Nuggets paid the salary tax last year. And lo and behold, they actually were under the cap. They did not pay a dime in luxury tax last year. However, the problem is, years before that, the 2 years before that, they did pay a little bit of luxury tax, about $20 million a year, if the numbers that I pulled up on the internet are right, which, again, disclaimer, they may not be. So 3 years ago, they paid about $20 million. 2 years ago, they paid $20 million, and they were under the cap this year. But the way, as I understand it, the NBA repeater tax works is if you go over the cap in 3 out of 4 years, then you're going to get hammered on taxes. Sometimes I don't understand sports.
No, you're actually right, Dan. That's perfect. That's exactly how it is. The Nuggets made the Hunter Tyson deal to get underneath the luxury tax, even though they're still over the salary cap, just to avoid paying that repeater tax.
Right.
But the repeater tax is 3 out of 4 years, so
Right.
they'll still pay it.
So they're not in the clear. So I started taking a look at the numbers. Like, well, what does this mean? And the easy answer is, one thing we can definitely expect is Pickett and Valanciunas are likely gone, because that saves them like $10 million right away. Like, just done, right? Makes all sorts of sense in the world. However, they do have to still add a little bit to the roster to fill it out. Now, then you make your decision on Payton Watson. You're going to add $20 million for him. Then if you do nothing else, even cutting $10 million with Valanciunas and Pickett, then you're still going to be in what's called the second apron, and you're paying taxes somewhere in luxury taxes in somewhere in the neighborhood of $185 to $220 million, like doubling your payroll just in paying this tax. I don't think we could realistically, even fairly, no matter how much money they have, expect the Rockies to do that. And they're not going to do that. It's one thing to say, well, a couple of years ago they paid $20 million in tax. To say they're going to pay $200 million in tax, it's just not going to happen. And I wouldn't want them. I'd rather them give $200 million to charity than to waste it on running back a team that is not competitive in the NBA playoffs. Not competitive at all.
Yeah, we could expect them to maybe pay that repeater tax, maybe around that $20 million again. There's no way we can expect them to pay the second apron tax.
Well, so if you believe what you read on the internet, like, it's still going to be, even if they don't do the second apron, the tax bill is not going to be $20 million. Like, once they get into the repeater tax, I still think you're talking over $150 million in tax. They have to get under the salary cap. Like, they cannot go into the tax at all. Otherwise, they're going to be paying a ridiculous bill. So how do you do that? Well, one, you decide you want to bring back Payton Watson. I'm a little bit nervous about this because Payton Watson's sample size, I think it's the same as Christian Brown's. It's 4 years. And he had maybe 2/3 of a really good season. Not great, not superstar, but really solid contributing role player type season, right? One of your defensive guys that you can count on to counter the tough matchups of the opposing players. His 3-point percentage was unusually high this year, which it had not been throughout the rest of his career. He scored a few more points, actually a lot more points. I think he scored 14 points a game this year, and I think before that his best season was maybe like 8 points a game. So it seems like, wow, he's going to be a really good player. But guess what? His numbers this season were about what Christian Brown's numbers were when he had his breakthrough season just one season before. So are we rolling the dice? Everybody seems to be now just sold on the fact that you can't live without Payton Watson. Well, if you can live without Payton Watson, your salary cap situation, although not fixed, you still have to make some other cuts. In addition to Pickett and Valanciunas, you still need to get under the cap, and you also still need to fill out the roster with 4 or 5 other guys that are cheap. Right? But so you still will have to make some moves. But if you decide you can live without Payton Watson, it makes things a lot easier. Now, if you decide that you can't live without Payton Watson because you discovered this future superstar and you want to lock him in now at a cheaper price, well, then you will have to get rid of some other fan favorites. And that would be, now the easiest way to just cure everything is what Zach Bye said was going to happen. I haven't heard him say it recently, but what Zach Bye said in a promo that we ran here on the station was, Jamal Murray's a goner. He's going to be gone, and that's not an insult to him, says Zach Bye, which I chuckle at. That's like one of the most backhanded compliments of all time, right? Like, John Elway didn't cut Tim Tebow as an insult. He didn't demote him as the starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos and put him on the street because he couldn't play. He did it as a sign of respect or something like that. It's kind of the equivalent argument. But what Zach is saying is the Nuggets are going to move Jamal Murray, but not for the reasons that actually make sense, which are he makes way too much money and he doesn't deliver as the core max contract player that is the perfect complement to Nikola Jokic, at least not in the playoffs. We see that. That's why he should be going. We said this 2 years ago, and some reason it magically floated out of the consciousness of most of the brains of NBA media and I guess maybe the fans, which was they're not going to win another championship if you're putting your hopes and dreams in the hands of Jamal Murray. He's too inconsistent. He disappears in big moments in the playoffs, and you got to be able to count on that guy for what you're paying him night in, night out in the playoffs, and you just can't do that. He's got to go. That's the reason he's got to go. But what Zach is saying is that's not the reason he's going to go. They still love him. He's still a great player. He's an all-star. He's third-team All-NBA. He's great, but they can't afford him anymore. So as a compliment to him, as the one member of the roster outside of Jokic that has actual trade value that other teams would want, he's got to go because nobody else is going to trade for Aaron Gordon or Christian Brown or Cam Johnson. Right, which, by the way, a lot of the analysis says Cam Johnson actually is attractive because he's an expiring contract. And it's I can't remember if he's making like $15 million a year or $20 million a year, but one, that would really help out your salary cap math. Now, the problem with trades are you have to find a willing partner that is willing to accept. So when you trade Jamal Murray, for example, to clear off $50 million off your books each and every year, you have to find a team that has the flexibility or the willingness to pay the luxury tax to say, yeah, we'll take his $50 million on and not send you $50 million back. That's what has to happen. So maybe you take $5 or $10 million in return salary so you actually have a net gain. You can't just trade apples for apples. So you have to find a willing partner that thinks they're on the rise and that even though he's not the answer here with the best player in the world possibly, maybe he'll be the answer in Orlando. Or who were they talking about? Oh, gosh, I was trying to think who they're...
Detroit, probably.
Yeah, Detroit they were talking about. And there was
a lot of the teams in the East, especially the really good defensive-oriented teams, can really use a point guard like Jamal Murray that can hide kind of behind a lot of their defense, like Orlando, Detroit. If Cleveland gets rid of Harden, maybe they'd be an option. Mike thinks that Boston would like Jamal, but they're not going to give us Jaylen Brown. So
well, but we couldn't afford, could we? I don't know how much Jaylen Brown makes, but we got to get a box of peanuts back.
Yeah, but if you get Jaylen Brown, you can afford to not pay Payton Watson.
Okay, that's an interesting concept. Yeah, could you get something in return that one is still less than $50 million a year? Let's say it was $20 or $30 million a year, and you could say, well, we don't need Payton Watson. Now, the other thing is here, which, by the way, this is what I was giving a hard time to Dover about. So Dover comes in. He's trying to fix the headphone issue. We're having a little technical issue here in the studio. And he's over on KYGO, being the big dog over there, trying to steal Dan Jacobs Show listeners away. But we're not going to let him because you're a loyal bunch. Right? But he's over there working hard. And he comes in. And I say, you know what we have on the rundown for 12:15? Boy, has Dover reversed his course on Jamal Murray. Now, this is fascinating. When Dover first came here, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was surprised. Because he came from an outlet that was very team-friendly. In fact, it was owned by the team. And I would have thought he would have been another one of these, because I was kind of the lone voice in the wilderness raising concerns over what we were getting out of Jamal Murray, which was inconsistency. He's a fan favorite. It wasn't that long after they won a championship. It was just not a popular opinion to say, we all love Jamal Murray, but we need him to be the player that he's being sold as, which is a star, which is an all-star, which is a number 2 to Nikola Jokic. And to my surprise, Josh Dover was not high on Jamal Murray. And he would not, in fact, I believe him there were conversations about, well, could we trade Jamal Murray for something that was a better fit for this team and for Nikola? And Josh Dover was right there. I was like, wow, man, that's good. I'm not the only guy here making this argument. Some other people, and Josh really studies the Nuggets. He pays attention to the Nuggets. He was really on board with me. I said, well, that's good. That's good. Now, this week, I think it was yesterday, so we're doing all these trade scenarios. I think they were actually talking about the Timberwolves. Could he be a good fit for the Timberwolves? I'm like, that's
Jake Shapiro's idea. I heard this, Dan.
Yeah, I thought, well, that sounds terrible. You think, how is he going to help Anthony Edwards? How is a high volume shot taking point guard going to help Anthony Edwards? That doesn't make sense to me. But that was kind of what they were floating. And Josh Dover's take, surprisingly to me, was, I just can't do it. I know I should, but I just can't give up on Jamal. I just can't throw in the towel on Jamal. I'm like, wow, that's quite the reversal from a knowledgeable, well-reasoned analysis that clearly shows. And this is not personal. I don't have any personal dislike from Jamal Murray. I've always just said, I wish he were consistent, because we know he has the ability to be one of the better players in the league. Sadly, you are what your record says you are. He's not consistent. And by the way, just disappeared in these playoffs this year in the first round. I mean, it was crazy. It was like, all right, they came out game 1. They actually kind of took him out of his game a little bit, and he made an adjustment, and he found a way. I'm like, well, that was good. And then he just disappeared. You never saw him again. So that's who he is. That's who he has been. That's kind of what I know. We like to have this revisionist history about how great Jamal Murray was in the NBA Finals. Not true. He was great in the Western Conference Finals, and his performance sharply dropped off in the NBA Finals. I'm not going to go through all the numbers again. I've done it time and time again on this show. It is what it is. You can go look at it. he disappears, and then he'll have a night where he can come out of nowhere and score 50 or 60 points. You need the consistency. So for Dover to go from that analysis and the analysis of you're not going to win another championship with Jamal being your number 2, you're Robin to Joker's Batman, so to speak, to I just can't give up on him no matter how much money we're paying him. I was very shocked to hear that.
Well, the other thing about that trade idea was because of Minnesota and what you're getting back from Minnesota. The idea that you'd be getting Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels for Jamal, I think, to me, that's the reason I say no. I remember Dover was saying, I can't do that one, but I think he still wants to trade Jamal in general, but sending him to the closest thing the Nuggets have to a real rivalry and getting back the player I hate most on that rival, and also Naz Reid, who's fine, I think that's why you say no to that particular trade. But I'm still absolutely down to trade him, and I feel like Dover is too.
I don't think he was. I think that I understand you're saying you heard it differently. The way I was taking it was almost I could see it making sense, but I just can't do it. I can't give up on Jamal, which was just very weird to me. But the clearest, to bring this thing full circle, the clearest path to, without having to take a massive gap year, the clearest path to cap relief, and the Nuggets clearly, any way you slice it, they have to get under the cap. They cannot pay that repeater tax, whether or not they're in the second apron or not. They can't do it, and they're not going to do it. So when Zach was talking about yesterday, are they going to take a gap year? Initially, I thought, well, geez, they're really going to have to do a lot of slicing and dicing, and a lot of it comes down to, yes, Payton Watson. But once you make that decision, it's really not all that painful. You're going to have to lose one of these players that was clearly part of a non-winning formula for you anyway. Whether it's by the way, person number 2 is Aaron Gordon, right? And he's going to make $32 million next year. He didn't hurt you that much this season because his extension didn't kick in, but his extension kicks in. So he's going to make $32 million. Well, if you can get rid of his salary and get $10 million worth of relief, getting rid of Pickett and Valanciunas, that's a pretty hefty cut. And I think that gets you where you need to go. And then in theory, I know they're not the same player, but is that not where Payton Watson would slide in anyway? If you sign Payton Watson, is he a backup? Where does he play?
No, he definitely starts.
Over who?
The idea of keeping Payton Watson means that you're going to lose one of your starters. So he will take that spot of either Gordon, Johnson, or Christian Brown because he'll make probably $25 million.
Yeah, and what they're talking about on the salary cap thing is if they can get away with only paying him for 1 year, 20, and then later he's going to get more than because he needs to make up $2, $3, $4, $5 million from this year. But he can do a kind of a team-friendly deal in that sense, and that he doesn't make as much money in the first year, but he makes some more on the back end. But what I've heard recently is, oh no, nobody else is tradable except for Jamal Murray. So are you making the decision Payton Watson instead of Jamal Murray? Or is he coming in as a backup? Now, I just did a little bit of research because every time I've mentioned the name of Christian Brown or an Aaron Gordon, the pushback I've gotten, Joe, is, well, they're untradeable. Nobody wants them. And I don't think that's true. Well, nobody wants a broken down Aaron Gordon who you can't depend on anymore. I think there are teams out there. Some other analysts on the internet have said, yeah, no, he has value. Not every team wants him, but there are teams that would want him. The question is, can you make a trade where you actually dump his salary and get very little against the cap back in return? And I think you can. Now, Joe, who would you rather have, Payton Watson or Aaron Gordon, knowing Aaron Gordon's history?
That's so tough because Aaron Gordon gives you so much off the court in terms of leadership and just camaraderie. I think the name sounds kind of dumb, but he's Mr. Nugget. That's your guy. But in terms of just I guess Payton Watson was out too. So
yeah, they were both out.
You know what? Give me Aaron Gordon.
Really? Interesting. I think Aaron Gordon is I think we're highly overvaluing Payton Watson right now based on the strength of a very small sample size. I know, for example, Zach Bye is just huge on Payton Watson. But if you look at It almost reminds me, you know what I'm worried about? Val Nichushkin. Before Val Nichushkin got here, he had a pretty clear track record. He was either hurt or not very good, or a mixture of two. And I think he came over from Dallas. I could be wrong, but they eventually just said, you know what, that's enough. Like, he's not going to be. We thought he was going to be one of the best players in the league or a highly achieving player. We're just done. And he came here and he had that one really good season, which every time I mention Nazem Kadri, there's a whole other section of Avs fans that say, well, Valeri Nichushkin was huge during the Cup run. He was. A lot of players. It wasn't only Nazem Kadri. I'm just saying he was probably the biggest reason they got through their psychological failures in the playoffs that one time. But Val Nichushkin had a great year, and they said, well, he's younger than Nazem Kadri, and we think his upside is going to be a lot better than a Nazem Kadri, who he was clearly a better player at the time, but they thought Val Nichushkin was going to develop into a better long-term player. So they chose Eric Johnson and Sam Girard plus Val Nichushkin over Nazem Kadri for that period of time. And what have we gotten out of Val Nichushkin since then? He's either been hurt, suspended, or not good. He's been exactly what he was before. So now we had Payton Watson, who's been in the league the same amount of time as Christian Brown. And he's got, out of 4 total seasons, not all of this is in his control, right? Because Michael Malone had a philosophy. He didn't believe in developing young talent for the most part. So Payton Watson didn't get as many opportunities as he probably should have. But we really still have a relatively small, I believe he played 60 games this year. And it wasn't like he came out and he averaged 23 points a game and 12 boards and 6 assists or anything like that. What you got was a very solid defensive cog and a nice contributor, particularly more than he actually had previously from behind the three-point line. He had a really good outcome, but are you going to commit that type of money to a player that has such a small sample size when we're being told now that one of the worst contracts in the NBA is Christian Brown. And Christian Brown had almost identical numbers the year before, and you gave him all that money that Payton Watson put up last year. I think they're putting a lot of chips in the Payton Watson basket, and maybe that'll be okay, but you've got to move an Aaron Gordon. I think Aaron Gordon's a better player. I would rather have him, but you just can't count on him. When Josh Kroenke comes out and says you cannot count on him, that's a problem. So they're going to have to make that. They're going to have to make a decision on Payton Watson and at least 1 or 2 other very, very hard choices. All right, coming up next, the Broncos. It's official. We know where their new home is going to be, and it's coming a lot quicker than I thought. Let's talk about it next.
It's the ultimate showdown for a great cause. Setting up the ultimate gold medal showdown. On June 11th, Brandon Stokely goes head-to-head with Zach By in 100 Holes for Kids. 100 holes of golf. It's a one-day event all to raise money for Recruiting Classroom, whose mission it is to help kids play sports. Who will raise the most? That's where you come in. Pick your player, make your donation, and help kids win. To support Brandon Stokely, head to StokelyCares.com. To support Zach By, head to ZachCares.com.
DeerTrailMeatCo.com. DeerTrailMeatCo.com. There's a funny meme I like on the internet, although in my house it's the reverse. It says, I saved $237 by going into the store myself and buying the milk myself instead of let my wife go in and do it, right? Impulse buying, that's what we're talking about. I'm actually the one in our family, rather than my lovely wife Kimberly, that does that. I'll go into the store, even if I just want to go get some steaks. I'm not walking out with just steaks. And with the everything being ridiculous prices right now, like your impulse buy of this and that and the other thing, it's hundreds of dollars. So that's one of the great savings of DeerTrailMeatCo.com. They deliver it to your front door, and you save twice. One, because you don't have to run to the store 2 or 3 times every time you want to get some protein for dinner, so you don't make any impulse buys. And number 2, up to 75% off what you would pay just for the beef alone at the grocery store. So it's a double savings. I want you to check them out. The website is fantastic. It's got YouTube videos, things like that show you how the process works. But here's the gist of it. They deliver this Colorado ranch to table goodness. It's healthy. It's delivered to your front door with a money-back guarantee at a tremendous savings over what you pay at the grocery store. So check them out, DeerTrailMeatCo.com.
Jane Dawson did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With the money she saved, she got herself a pricey bird feeder with an ultra-high-def camera. Should Jane have just bought a regular bird feeder? Yes. Is it hard for her to admire nature when the camera doubles as the bird's potty? Also, yes. But it's Jane's savings, and if she wants to spend her time watching the digestive habits of the white-breasted nuthatch, we say you go, girl. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Markdowns for Miles at AutoZone.
Thanks. Is oil marked down?
Save up to $15 when you buy 5 quarts and a filter.
And fuel treatment?
2 for $9 on Lucas.
Brake pads?
Marked down to free.
Free?
Get free Duralast brake pads when you buy 2 Duralast rotors.
That's several markdowns.
For many more miles.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Wait! Before you change the station, listen to this.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KRS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Pickup is quick and easy. You'll also get a vacation voucher and a tax deduction.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Mike Rowe here with another random fact. Those cracks on your walls aren't just cosmetic. They could mean your home is sinking. Whether it's drywall cracks, exterior cracks, or sticking doors or windows, do yourself a favor. Call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys, and they're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to stabilize your foundation. Schedule a free inspection with Groundworks, the foundation and waterproofing experts.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Is your financial advisor managing your risk or just a spreadsheet? Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. Many financial advisors rely on target date funds, which are one-size-fits-all portfolios that don't know your name, your family, or your goals. And that passive management can leave you dangerously exposed. At Trajan, we look at the whole picture, not just the stocks everyone else buys, but the private market opportunities most advisors ignore. And as fiduciaries, we build a strategy around you, coordinating your investments, tax strategy, and estate into one cohesive plan. Your financial life deserves more than just a generic portfolio. Real planning isn't a stack of statements. It's the confidence of knowing where your income will come from for the next 30 years. Good enough isn't good enough for your family. It's time for a change. Schedule your complimentary consultation today. Call 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Private equity investments require accreditation. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
Who helps keep Colorado's wildlife wild? Our people do.
Hello, my name is Patricia. I've been with Chevron for over 17 years.
Her team uses GPS to track where mule deer and pronghorn roam throughout the seasons. This data helps us take their habitats into consideration when planning our operations.
When we created our comprehensive wildlife and conservation program, it was really about what was possible.
Learn more at colorado.chevron.com.
If you're practicing real estate in Denver but still not getting the results you want, listen up. Agents who are winning in this market aren't guessing. They've got the right training, the right systems, and the right support. And that's exactly what you get at Weichert Realtors Professionals. Proven strategies to win more listings, technology that keeps you connected anywhere, and coaching that actually helps you close. Take your business to the next level. Call Tim Davis at Weichert Realtors Professionals at 303-302-4000. Each Weichert franchised office is independently owned and operated.
Safe snowmobiling requires good vision, balance, coordination, and reaction time. Using alcohol and prescription or illegal drugs affects these abilities and impairs snowmobile operation. Alcohol also lowers your body temperature, so it's a dangerous combination in winter weather. No amount of alcohol or drug consumption is ever safe when operating a snowmobile. So it's simple. Don't ride impaired. Brought to you by the American Council of Snowmobile Associations and the Federal Highway Administration. Visit snowmobileinfo.org.
Mama, what does the chicken say? Dog. Cat. Giraffe.
Giraffe, really? Giraffe. Giraffe.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right.
Visit NHTSA.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
What if I could tell you when an earthquake would hit? Unfortunately, I can't. But shouldn't you be ready anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I knew right then that she was special.
That's just one adoption story that started at a shelter. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
What is the greatest gift you can give the world? The gift of hope. Trees for the Future has a sustainable solution to hunger, poverty, and bettering the planet through Trees for the Future's regenerative agricultural method, the forest garden approach. They teach impoverished farmers in developing countries how to plant themselves out of poverty by creating thriving ecosystems made up of over 60 species of trees and over 30 varieties of fruits and vegetables. Farmers can maximize crop yields to provide consistent income and nutrition for their families. In the last 30 years, tens of millions of trees have been planted, and thousands of farmers have successfully revitalized their degraded land. When you give hope for our planet and its people. Find out how to plant seeds of hope this season at trees.org/radio. That's trees.org/radio. A tree can change a life.
Hey everyone. Let's all stop what we're doing right now and take a moment. That felt good, huh? Just like that, we had a nice special sort of moment together. Of course, they don't all need to be quiet moments to be special. They could be loud moments, goofy moments, sporty moments, dorky moments. Moments where we talk or walk or just hang out. It doesn't really matter. They all count. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. Sounds like somebody agrees. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Today, call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Honda YouTube chat line. Go ahead, find us on the YouTube chat. This is interesting. Somebody says I think your text, by the way, texter, you're pretty upset about something, but we don't know what it is because your text, for whatever reason, maybe you sent them, you ever do that? You send a text to somebody. We get this on the text line a lot. Somebody will text the RamosLaw.com text line, 303-713-1043, like, hey, going to get some groceries. And we're like, great, but they sent it to the wrong thing. Because all the text that came through was, last one, Dan, I may hire you if I need you, but I'll never listen to you guys again. Why not? We like that you listen to us. Is that because you're going to migrate over to the YouTube channel? Right? Is that what you're saying? Dan, I live in Windsor and have been listening to 104.3 The Fan and 950 The Fan over 25 years. You make it sound like you just joined Northern Colorado. By the way, I love your show, and if I miss it, I listen to the podcast. Well, we're just very happy that KARS, Laramie, and Fort Collins are in the mix, and so perhaps, Windsor is still kind of, in the mix, metro area-ish, just a little bit south of Fort Collins. So I think our reach has gone a little more. We're pretty excited about it. We want to hear from our KARS listeners on the Dan Jacobs Show, but we appreciate you listening. And yes, a new way you can get involved in the program, which I certainly appreciate because it lets the station management know that you care about the Dan Jacobs Show. So if you can pop on to the Denver Sports YouTube channel, and when my show's on, the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs live, like it is right now, go ahead, jump on, put it on in the background, listen, get involved in the Champ Honda YouTube chat. We would love for you to be part of the program that way. And as Joe says, you can listen, like, and subscribe. We'd love for you to do that. On the text line, people saying Watson's upside seems much higher than Christian to me. I wish I could ride the pine and make $100 million. That's from Roy, one of our top fans, our number one top fan. The sad part is, you talk about ride the pine and make $100 million, which does happen in the NBA. But what is mind-boggling to me, and I don't know, what year is Jamal Murray in?
It's mind-boggling.
Year 8, year 9, I don't even know what year he's in, right? He's going to make, when it's all said and done, more than $500 million to play for the Denver Nuggets. He's made one All-Star team. He's going to make over $500 million. Great. Mike Tyson was the highest paid athlete of all time, like during his first reign. I think he made $200 or $300 million that he blew. And that's just run of the mill for average NBA, not average, but below elite below superstar talent in the NBA right now. They're going to make, Michael Porter Jr. made more on that one contract maybe than Mike Tyson made his entire prime. Now, good for Mike. He's saying that now this Netflix era where everybody's going all in on this nostalgia, he is making huge money doing that. He's like, I make more money now fighting in these carnival games than I ever did during my prime. So at least that's good for him. I don't know. I soured on Mike Tyson. But anyway, we appreciate you guys out there on both the RamosLaw.com text line and the YouTube chat. Go ahead and check us out on YouTube. Have you ever wondered this smooth, silky voice that you hear all the time on the Fan for the last 25 years? Have you ever wondered just how handsome is that guy? Well, now you can make that judgment for yourself.
Never once.
You can go and look at my beautiful face on the YouTube channel right there. So appreciate having you there. Now, I did something interesting, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because the Broncos have a new home. And what was surprising to me, so if you go to DenverSports.com, there's a nice article on there kind of talking about the latest developments, but they've officially signed off. Now, the deal hasn't closed yet, but they've signed paperwork saying this is going to be the spot. Burnham Yard, the city or the government, whoever it is, the state of Colorado has decided, yes, we are going to sell you the property. So great. So that's where it's going. There's no more threat of, well, we're going to go to Lone Tree. We're going to go out by DIA. The Broncos have negotiated as good of a deal as they can, and that's where the new stadium is going to be. And I tend to agree with James. That may not have been our first choice as to where to put it, but it's going there. Get on board. The only thing I'll rail against between now and the next 4 or 5 years are the PSLs, because I think the PSLs are a way of giving kind of the middle finger to the fan. And we'll talk a lot about PSLs, but it's actually coming a lot quicker. I don't know why, but for some reason, and this is probably still when the lease is up with Empower Field, because the Broncos have a lease with, I believe, the Metro District, the Denver Stadium Metro District, to have Empower Field, I believe, for another 7 or 8 years. But if you go to DenverSports.com, you can look at the article, and it shows that the goal now is for the Broncos to be playing in their new home at Burnham Yard within 6 years. Like kickoff of the season 6 years from now will be at Burnham Yard, which, Joe, I don't know about you, that was that just snuck up on me. We've been talking about it for years and years and years, and it's like, well, it's 10 years away. Don't worry about it. It's 8 years away. 6 years from now. And I'm sure it'll fly by, will it not, Joe?
I mean, yeah, 6 years is tomorrow, Dan.
Yeah. Now, here's what I'm interested in, because I went downtown. Now, I didn't walk around a lot, but I went downtown. I did something fun. Comic-Con. I went to my first Comic-Con.
I'm going tomorrow.
Are you really? I might. There's this stuffed animal I wish I would have bought yesterday. I might have you, if you see it, buy it for me.
I got you.
A big fat cat with a little tiny head. I should have bought it yesterday. But anyway, I go down there. I'm like, I want to try new things. I want to try something fun. I've heard those things are a hoot. I don't go downtown very often. I decide I'll go ahead and go downtown. Now, originally I was going to bring the DeLorean. Then I looked at the parking situation. I said, yeah, that's probably not a good idea. So I did not bring the DeLorean. But immediately, as soon as I get out of so I go in this parking garage, and what do I see immediately? This couple, one of them's wearing, I'm talking to them at first. I'm like, how do I get out of here? How do we get to the thing? And like, they're just talking to me normal. And then I look down at this guy's feet. He's wearing those hooves from Narnia, Mr. Tumnus, like the fawn hooves. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack. I'm like, oh, here we go. This is what we're here for. It's the party. And so I do the Comic-Con. And, all these, I don't want to say weirdos. I want to be respectful. But these people living their best lives, running around in costume. And it was fun. It was a hoot. I met my buddy Luther down there. And
you can say they're weirdos. We're weirdos too, Dan. Me more so than you probably.
Yeah. So it was interesting. And I take in that, and I start to wonder about downtown. Because the prevailing wisdom is that downtown is where the money is. That's where people want to be. And that's probably from a financial standpoint. And I know they did feasibility studies and they did cost analysis. Why did the Broncos put the stadium where it is? It's in a congested area. It's in a high crime area. It's, depending on where you are, it's not a place you are generally going to be. But there was a whole thing about, if they leave Denver, I'm never going to a Broncos game again, which I never bought. Like, people were going to go wherever they are, right? It's not like people don't go see the Dallas Cowboys in Arlington or wherever the heck they play.
I've been thinking about it a lot in the shower.
So my question is like, but in 10 years from now, is downtown, like what we think we've seen is downtown on a decline. We did get some stats recently where about 250,000 people, for the first time in a long time, we were seeing unprecedented growth, a lot more people coming into the state than leaving the state. And then a couple of years ago, you started hearing rumors like, yeah, we're getting X amount of people coming in, but we're also getting X amount leaving because they're not liking what is coming to our state. And maybe we saw with legal weed and all that and the novelty of that and us being one of the first in the country to do that, maybe that was a big part of the influx. I don't know, Joe, you worked in that industry for a long time. How much of our population boom, just guessing, not numbers wise, but like, yes, this is why we blew up. This is why traffic sucks now, whatever. How much of it do you think was legal weed? And do you think that will trail off now that it's basically becoming commonplace most major cities?
I think it was a multitude of things. But also I'm saying that because most of the people I talked to, because I was a manager at a head shop, was that a lot of people came here for legal weed. That's very true. But I feel like there's a lot of other factors too of people that I didn't talk to. So I'm just assuming there has to be more than just that reason. Because most people I talked to, but because of where I was at, that's why I was talking to them. But people get jobs here. People have been moving here for tons of reasons. Altitude, I think is good for a lot of people's health in general. So I think there's a lot of reasons why people are moving here. And then you get here and the traffic sucks, and I can see why people are leaving too.
Yeah, so for the first time in since this boom has happened, well, one, we saw a few stats that weren't great. One, depending on which study we're looking at, Denver is now the third or fourth most expensive place to live in the country, which is shocking to me. We were always the opposite of that. You would hear about places like Seattle or California or New York, and you'd say, wow, well, that's one of the beautiful things around here. Like, we have beautiful mountains, we have a beautiful environment, but it's not big city expense and all that stuff. Apparently, if you believe those studies, now it's just as bad here. But we've seen According to one study, 250,000 more people leave than came in. And my lovely wife, Kimberly, was telling me about a story in California that they actually have people coming back that left. We're like, no, we're going back. Like, we love what we know. And California is beautiful. Nothing, absolutely, especially if you're near the coast, California is beautiful. It's just, the traffic is crazy. I'll give you an example. We were just down there. I bought the DeLorean, which I sold, right? The guy that bought the DeLorean from me, he lived maybe, if there was no traffic, an hour away. But if he went to pick up the car during daylight hours, it added an hour and a half to 2 hours to his commute, because that's how bad traffic is. Like, you'll literally spend an hour. When I was there, I went 11 miles. It took me an hour and 10 minutes. Like, the traffic, you just can't do it. But I think people are saying, well, I moved to Denver and it takes me 45 minutes to an hour to go from Aurora to Arvada or Denver or Lone Tree or whatever. Why wouldn't I just go back home to California? And it cost me $1 million for a home here. I can go back and get back into another home. What's it going to cost me? $2 million in California? So it's interesting. So in regards to the Broncos, obviously the Broncos made a calculation. They made a bet because they said, we have to do a judgment on where we think it will be most profitable to put this Broncos village, this city, which is going to have not one, but two new residential neighborhoods, plus all the retail stuff, plus a stadium. It's going to be massive. And I'm actually looking forward to that. I think it's cool. Like, for years and years and years, I'm like, how is it the Broncos are not doing this? And actually, the Rockies, of all the teams in the state, the Rockies were the first ones to do it. And theirs is on a much smaller scale. Like, I was actually surprised at how small and understated, I would say. It's still cool. I'm not bagging on it. It's a nice little concept, but it's just, to me, it's just another block downtown. You know, we would hear D-Mac just railing about how awesome it was. And it's like, this is not what you told me it was at all. It's just a nice little place to go hang out. Broncos Village, Broncos Land, Countryville, whatever you're going to call it, is going to be much more massive, much more involved than McGregor Square. It was just shocking to me that the Rockies, of all teams, were the first one in our state to figure it out. Like, that's how you can make some additional money. But are we going to see like an oversaturation? I believe we're seeing overall a decline in downtown. That's what all the numbers are showing. The question is it a temporary one? Along with the fact that Stan Kroenke is looking to do the same thing. Stan Kroenke is looking to do, and I don't even think looking, I think he is going to do, I believe it's called the River Mile, which is a beautification / development of the stretch of land that goes along the Platte River, where you'll be able to walk. Because now Ball Arena is just kind of, you don't really consider it. It's downtown, but it's not the same as going downtown. Like, it's a little hike to get from Ball Arena. Either you need a rickshaw or a Lime scooter or something like that.
You're not close.
To actually go and mix it up downtown after a game. What they're talking about doing is getting rid of Elitch's. I believe they've already undergone the purification of. So the Platte River was so disgustingly filthy polluted that it was not safe for swimming. Humans could not get in there without getting incredibly sick. And I don't want to call it wildlife, but like fish and game or whatever, like could not survive in there either. So there's this big project to turn the Platte River back into something a little more closer to what nature intended. Put like a greenbelt area walking path that will allow you to comfortably stroll from the downtown area to the Ball Arena area, and then dot that pathway with not just lush green belts, but with some residential environment, stuff like that, high rises or whatever, and some retail and some shopping and stuff like that. My question is, 10 years from now or 6 years from now, what type of shape is downtown going to be in? Like, what's going to magically rescue it? To me, it seems like we have, as a society here, a local society, a micro view of it, is we've kind of said, Denver's not necessarily certain people just love the urban lifestyle. I don't. I live on the Aurora, Kansas border. Couldn't be happier. I'd just give me away. And there's people there, but at least I get to see green and stuff like it's not all concrete and crime and all that stuff. So it's interesting that has been the prevailing thing is, well, downtown's where it's at, Denver's where it's at, but is it going to continue to be that way? And I don't know. I mean, they bet on that, and I know they did studies on that, but sometimes things are wrong. I'll give you an example, just what I'm thinking. So, for example, right now, I have the DeLorean, right? I love everything about my car except for the engine. Purists say you can't touch the engine of the car, and I have a stock DeLorean. I've done some stock, some purist intentioned, well-intentioned, true traditional upgrades, but the engine is still the engine. It's a 1981 Volvo engine that didn't have horsepower because it had to comply with the rules of the time. And they say you will destroy the value of the car, even though I didn't buy the car as an investment. You'll destroy the value of the car if you replace the engine, because modifying classic cars destroys the value, and conventional wisdom will tell you that's true. But now what we're seeing is, for the first time ever, they call them mods or resto mods, right? They are actually gaining more money on the market because the market's becoming a little bit younger, and they're like, we want cooler stuff and we want stuff that works.
People are realizing it's more fun to take the action figures out of the box and actually play with them.
There you go. Great example. Another great example in the spirit of the Comic-Con, right? Yeah, it destroys the value. They said it destroyed the value taking it out of the box, and maybe that's true. You still keep the box, but you got to enjoy it, and then you say, well, I'll let the chips fall where they may. Well, now we're seeing a swing where resto mods are more popular. Now, the problem is you spend way more money modifying the car than what you'll actually sell it for, but there is a turn. So I'm going to make a calculation. If I want to make the car the way I want it, is it still true that 10 years from now, I did the wrong thing value-wise? I don't think it's going to be true because I think things are going to change. Are things changing downtown, or are they just in a lull? They've been in a lull, it seems, for like 4 or 5 years. But
I think a lot of that is COVID, though, too.
Okay, well, but COVID's been a while. Like, what's going to change to make it go back? Maybe these projects are what make it go back. Maybe more people come from other states again. I don't know. I know real estate in general in Colorado is going down. Real estate in, I believe, downtown has been hurting for a while, even before that. Like the Montforts. Speaking of COVID, they thought, oh, we built McGregor Square. It's just going to be a money tree. It's going to be awesome. And then they had a hard time initially because downtown took a real hit in real estate-wise during COVID, which was right during the time that they were going to open up McGregor Square, and the Montforts were hurting there for a little while.
And thank God it did, because then, the door might not have opened for the Walton Penner Group to buy such a large portion of the Rockies if the Rockies made a bunch of money.
So, yeah, that's true. All right. I want to continue this discussion. Also, we're going to continue on a couple of other things throughout the show. I still want to get more into this will be probably our last week doing postmortem of Avs and Nuggets, because I'm going off to Ireland. I'll talk about that in the last probably segment of the show, but I'm going to be gone for a couple weeks. So let's get it all done now. 2 hours down of the Dan Jacobs Show. One more to go right here on The Fan.
Summer is calling, and we're sending you to the lake in style. Download the DenverSports app to enter our Day at the Lake contest for your chance to win everything you need for that perfect lake day. You get 2 paddle boards, 2 chairs, a cooler, pop-up tent, and Bluetooth speaker. Oh, and did we mention you also get a $250 gift card to fill up that cooler? Download the DenverSports app now and enter today. We'll see you at the lake. DenverSports 104.3. The Fan.
Jacob's Law, 303 Law 4040, 303 Law 4040. I know in my ads I say, I know you're not looking to get rich, you're just looking for help. And my sister actually said, well, why do you say that, Dan? That makes it sound like you're not trying to get people money. And I said, no, listen, you just got to understand the listener for the Dan Jacobs Show listener, or the Fan listener in general, they're not looking to get rich. They just don't know what to do because the insurance company's not doing what's right. So here's an example of that. I had a guy, he lives out in the country. He's a good old boy, and he's like, hey, man, my neighbor jacked me up, but I still have to live in this community, and I'm not going to sue my neighbor. So, Dan, do what you got to do, but if it means I got to sue my neighbor, I still want to be able to have my name be proud in this town. And I said, don't worry. We're going to deal with the insurance company. We're not going to hurt your neighbor. Just let us go to work. We got $1.5 million for this man, and he did not have to drag his name down, get gossip circles about suing people, things like that. We just got the insurance company to do what was right, which was honestly just provide the coverage that the other neighbor paid for. That's what we're about. We're here to help. We're not here about sue happy or get money at all costs. It's just get the situation resolved in a fair manner. And yes, we do get as much money for you as possible. 303-LAW-4040. Hope you never need it, but go ahead, save that number in your phone. You never know. It's 303-LAW-4040.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, Stoke here for ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Summer is coming in hot. Don't wait. Beat the rush with an early bird cooling system tune-up and inspection for only $49 from Rocks Heating and Air. They'll inspect your system and keep you cool when everyone else is scrambling. Call ROX Rocks Heating and Air today and schedule your tune-up before the end of May. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
Jane Dawson did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With the money she saved, she got herself a pricey bird feeder with an ultra-high-def camera. Should Jane have just bought a regular bird feeder? Yes. Is it hard for her to admire nature when the camera doubles as the bird's potty? Also, yes. But it's Jane's savings, and if she wants to spend her time watching the digestive habits of the white-breasted nuthatch, we say you go, girl. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Markdowns for Miles at AutoZone.
Got any markdowns on oil?
We've got many markdowns on oil.
How about on that new STP Any Mileage?
You'll save $5 when you buy 5 quarts of STP Any Mileage with an oil filter and get up to 5,000 miles of protection.
Heck of a markdown for quite a lot of miles.
At AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Philip Lindsay here. Summer is coming. Time for hikes, golf, and family adventures. But if degenerative joints or those old high school sports injuries are holding you back, discover natural, pain-free relief with Regen RX. Their stem cell treatment, PRP therapy, and shockwave therapy could be the answer to reclaiming your active life. No surgeries, no downtime, and no risk. Get a free consultation today. Text the word PAIN to 303-630-9770. That's PAIN to 303-630-9770.
It's the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs on Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan.
All right, final hour for today of the Dan Jacobs Show. Of course, we'll be back for the easy, Sunday morning edition of the Dan Jacobs Show tomorrow at 10 a.m. Of course, you'll want to dial in both on YouTube and the station starting at 7 a.m. Kyle and Cello will be getting you lathered up for the Dan Jacobs Show, so you want to check them out. We'll go out to the Champ Honda YouTube chat line. Now, you know, flattery will get you everywhere on this show. So, the El Diablo 23 says the Dan Jacobs Show is the best part of my weekend. Oh, yeah, it's funny. When I had the show, actually, James owned the station. I did a nighttime show, and it was called The Final Verdict with Notaro and Jacobs. And I was just trying to be obnoxious, but it was also true. I'd say, welcome to the best darn part of your day. It is The Final Verdict with Jacobs and Notaro. And, the best part the best segment, I think, on the station is when we chat with James Marilat. I like going back and forth with him. And yeah, I think probably the best part of the week on the station, although I love all the shows. I listen. I replay clips. You hear me. I love my teammates. But yeah, I think this show.
Well, James says it's the highlight of his week every week, Dan.
I believe him. Now, one time we were doing one of those events we used to do, like we would go to a movie, like we would go on the road and we'd all be hanging out. And this listener went up to him and goes, "Hey man, I love when you're on with Dan Jacobs." He goes, "Yeah, it's great. I go on with Dan Jacobs and then I hang up and he spends 2 hours smashing me. It's fantastic." I'm like, "Yeah, that's the way it should be."
We should all be upset.
At Rosewood 393 says YouTube stream is better than the radio because you can pause and rewind. That's actually pretty cool too. Yeah, I like that. Although you can do that with the DenverSports.com podcasts. If you subscribe to that, you can do that in your car rolling around. You can listen to the show and repeat. There's a lot of wisdom we drop on the show. You may want to hear it more than once. So yeah, but we're pretty excited. They've brought us in on the YouTube revolution, and so we're excited. And this is just a way, if you want to support the show, then you can let the management know that you love the Dan Jacobs Show, and they can see that because they'll see you tuning into the YouTube channel. So if you want to like and subscribe and tune in, we appreciate you for doing that. So thank you, Rosewood 393 and the El Diablo 23. Is the El Diablo, that's like a Ricky Bobby thing, right? Something about the crazy chicken? Something
It's
like
like
that.
a Mexican fighting chicken. Also,
Yeah.
hi, YouTube.
Yes. Hello, YouTube. Out to the RamosLaw.com text line. He says, "I drive Lyft. It takes me 15 minutes to go 2 miles downtown. It's ridiculous. And people don't tip at all." Really? I would feel bad. I mean, I'm not going to, because we've done this. I'm not going to talk about all walks of life where you should tip and you shouldn't tip. But it's interesting. I wonder if there's a difference between Uber driver and Lyft driver. Lyft will tell you, would you like to tip? By the way, we're tired of our drivers always whining and complaining that we take all the money. So here's what your driver actually made on this drive. So it will actually, so let's say that the trip was $35. It'll say your driver made $23. How much more, 100% of whatever you give now, this tip will go to your driver. How much would you like to contribute? I don't think Uber does that, but Lyft does. I just can't imagine people not tipping their Uber driver.
Dude, some people, and there's like a common sentiment too about like the idea of tipping. If you don't agree with it, then you shouldn't contribute to the industrial complex or whatever
Right.
of tipping. But like, I don't know, did the person in front of you do a good job? Give them a couple of bucks and then, write your congressman or something.
Well, what can Congress do about private businesses trying to get you to tip for routine services?
I don't know. Write them and find out.
I got an oil change. There's this place you could drive in. They get you in and out in 5 minutes. You don't even get out of your car, and there's an oil change, and they give you the point of POS pad, and they're like, "Do this." And I actually said this to the guy. "I'm supposed to tip you on my oil change now? Is that what we're doing?" And he goes, "Well, I can't control that. You don't have to." Blah 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 blah. And it's out of control for certain. Like, because the way you're saying it, Joe, is everything you should tip. Hey, you got groceries? Tip your cashier. Did they do a good job? Well, that's what you're talking about. Did the person in front of you do a good job? Well, it depends on what it is. Did I go to a fast food restaurant? Why would I tip them?
I wouldn't tip a fast food restaurant either.
But now, for example, Starbucks, I don't want to tip them a lot, but I don't know, for some reason I feel more inclined to tip. I would tip a barista a little bit more, right? Because they're doing a job. I don't know. They're making the drink. But it's just, some of it's so far out of control that I get the concept of I'm not going to ratify this thing into our society by doing it, feeling under pressure to do it. But yeah, because Congress is not going to kill tipping. But
I know, I was just joking.
There are certain areas where, yeah, like your waiter, that's part of their wage. It's part of the deal. Tip them. Your Uber driver, we know that's part of the deal. Now, I don't know what to do. Like, I tip 20% no matter what. But is that what you're supposed to do for an Uber drive? Is it the same as a meal? I don't know. I do. Like, what do you tip, Joe? on
just use common sense, like how much does it feel like I should tip? Sometimes a good rule of thumb for me is around $5, unless it's like a ridiculous price of something. I just kind of round up or down to about $5.
All right, so if you get a ride home from the airport, for example, let's say it's a $65 ride, $10 good, or do you need to be doing 15 or 20?
I think it depends on the ride. I think $10 is fine. If you're complaining about a $10 tip, like maybe be nicer, but also like that's just one of the lower end tips. That's just going to happen. Like it's a numbers game at that point. But I think $10 is fine.
Yeah. Lee is trying to get in on the text line, and so he starts it with the flattery because he knows he'll get read if he says, "Your Highness, I still say the best stadium in surrounding area is Allegiant Stadium. The worst, SoFi. Allegiant is awesome and is only a brief walk to the Strip. SoFi, it's too big, and it's smack dab in the ghetto. So that's Lee the amputee. Postscript, let's talk Rockies. Didn't you see last night? Allegiant is weird. It is walkable. I'm going to try and go to the Dolphins-Raiders game. I've never actually been to Allegiant. I've been to T-Mobile Arena to watch the Avs and Knights play, and that was like I was a bonehead. I think I was staying at the Mandalay Bay. I took an Uber to T-Mobile Arena, and some guy jumped off a bridge, so traffic was horrible. I eventually just got out and walked the rest of the way. And then after the game, I realized they've put in like a path. It's like a 5-minute walk back to the Strip from T-Mobile Arena. It was asinine to pay $40 for an Uber to sit in traffic when you walk by and they have shops, and I got something to eat, and it was really cool. SoFi, I don't know. I've never been there. I know that Stan Kroenke's suing. He didn't use any public money. Well, then why is he suing the public for $400 million right now? Okay. I don't know. So SoFi, I've heard is fantastic. I've never been there. I would like to go there. My problem is I just don't want to, in my old age, I guess, I don't want to, like, for example, yesterday at the Comic-Con downtown, so packed, so jammed in.
It's a zoo.
I don't like to be around crammed in with people like that.
That's why I'm going tomorrow when it's the slowest.
You think it was slower than Thursday?
Sunday is usually the slowest,
okay.
Yeah, because most people have already been. There's usually not a lot of guests, so in my experience, it's the most chill.
Yeah. So it's hard for me. Like, that's why I don't even like going to games that much, because of the parking and the traffic and the getting out and the, not running over. Like the graduation we went to at DU a couple weeks ago. God, man, stress level through the roof. Trying to wade through people. I ended up shouting. So there's a thoroughfare.
Calm down, Dan.
There's a thoroughfare, and this whole family just decides just to stop walking, and this is where we're going to hang out and wait. And I couldn't handle it. Like, I was at my limit because we've been doing this for like 10 or 15 minutes, and I have genuine anxiety. I finally said, "You're blocking the whole path. You got to get out of the way." And everybody looked at me like I had a third head. Like, I think that I had a civic duty to say, "Dude, I love you, but move over to the side. All the rest of us are bottlenecked because you as a family have decided you're going to stop right here. You're being bad people. Maybe you don't realize it, but you're being bad people." And I heard somebody else go, "Well, I guess he has somewhere to be." Well, of course I have somewhere to be. Do you not have somewhere to be? Do you just want to stand behind this family forever? Come on.
All right. So on one hand, do I think you went a little overboard? Maybe, but I agree 100%. That stuff drives me crazy. Just move. It's not that hard. If you need to find somewhere to gather, go stand somewhere else. I remember in high school, people would do that and clog up the hallways, make people late. I'm with you, Dan.
So you think I shouldn't have yelled at him? All I was saying was get out of the way.
You could have said everything and not yelled, maybe,
Well, you think they would have paid attention?
That wasn't as. Nah, it's a loud area. You kind of have to yell. Never mind, you're fine.
Yeah. Now, I understand I look like a lunatic to everybody else, but guess what? They moved, and eventually we started moving again. I mean, they were stopped. I mean, you're talking about hundreds or maybe even, not thousands, but hundreds of people are now just standing in their place because of these 7 people who are like, "Well, we'll just wait."
Well, you're not the hero that we needed, Dan, but you're the hero that we deserved.
Gosh darn it. Speaking of heroes, for those of you that missed it, I always like to... It is the best part of our weekend. I always like to, for those of you that missed it, weren't listening 3 hours ago, we bring it back to you. Had a chance to visit with our good friend, the lovely and talented James Merlot. let's welcome into the program, brought to you by the Birdie Bar in Louisville, the premier indoor golf bar in downtown Louisville, locally owned and operated. Find them at birdie.bar on the web and Instagram. James Marilat, do we have you, sir?
What's up, Dan? How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How was your week? What upset you this week? What got you riled up this week, James?
Well, I mean, the Avs got eliminated. That certainly got me fired up. The fact that so many people on social media, when I would tweet about Jared Bednar, just are defending the guy. It's like, well, how many times do they have to underachieve in the postseason before it is time to make a change? Like, is it one more time, two more times, infinite? Like, that really gets me fired up. And, you know, people come back at you like, well, he's got this and this and this. Like, look at Vegas. Vegas is the best team in the West in the last decade, and they've only existed for 9 years. They've been in the Stanley Cup final 3 times. They have a chance to win their second cup, and they've had 4 head coaches. They fired a guy who won the Jack Adams. They fired a guy who won a Stanley Cup, and that happened at the end of the season because you know what? They weren't living up to the standard that organization has set, and now look where they are. So I don't get it. I don't understand the defense of Jared Bednar. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's a fine coach. I don't think he's great. And I think if you look over the course of his tenure with the Avs, they have underachieved. And I don't think there's another way to say it. So people who don't get that, get me fired up, Dan.
It's interesting to me because I think if I've done my math right, every outside of Tampa that had a dynasty or a borderline dynasty, went to 3 or 4 Stanley Cups, won 2 in a row, and still remain competitive, although they're clearly on the downside, right? But so John Cooper's the longest serving coach in the NHL, and those have been his results.
Right.
Jared Bednar has not come close to that. Every other team in the NHL, and some have done it multiple times, like VGK, every other team in the NHL has made a change in the last 4 years, but certainly since Jared Bednar has been hired, 10 years ago. So every other team has said, our coach is not meeting our standard, but Jared Bednar being defeated as the favorite almost every single year he goes to the playoffs is okay. It's up to the Avalanche's standards. You explain that to me.
I don't get it. And, you know, people come back to me and say, well, what has Tortorella won? You know, since he won a cup 20 years ago. It's like, yeah, he coached Columbus, right, and got them to the postseason. Like, when has he had the best team in hockey and fallen flat on his face? Because Jared Bednar's done it like 5 times, right? And so not only have they – yes, they had the 1 year they won the cup. This was only the second time they've been out of the second round under Jared Bednar. And if you don't win a game in the Western Conference Finals, did you actually make the Western Conference Finals?
Oh, shots fired.
Like, really? Like, seriously, like – okay, so during his tenure, they outside of the cup year, which is clearly the aberration, they've never won a game beyond the second round. That's just a fact. So, and look, I do think in hockey they make changes too quickly. In all the sports, the average lifespan of a head coach is like under 3 years. It's a little bit ridiculous. But now we're on the opposite extreme. And, you know, people always say, oh, that's your solution to everything. You want to fire the coach. Well, no, it's just the simplest first step, right? Like breaking down the team, trading McKinnon, trading McCarr, you know, deciding how to rebuild. That is a complicated process. The smart thing to do is try a different voice in the room and see if you get a different result. If you don't, okay, then you got to go take the difficult route. Now, the other piece to it, though, is, and we saw this with the Nuggets, firing Michael Malone wasn't a mistake. Hiring David Adelman was. So if you're going to move on, you have to have a plan. You have to know who you're going to go get, and you got to find somebody that is going to be an upgrade, which is what Vegas did, right? Like they knew, hey, there's this coach out there who's won a cup. He's won at every place he's gone, and he's just sitting at home playing with his grandkids. We can make this move late in the season and bring him in, and it was a stroke of genius. The Avs will have to have a plan, but as far as I can tell, they're all over in London watching the Arsenal, so I don't think it's a very high priority.
Yeah, I am shocked that we haven't heard that he's been dismissed. I was just thinking this. Can you think of, and this is hard right off the top of our heads, because I can't think of one, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but James, can you think of, in the sports that actually have like a playoffs, NFL's one game and you're done, so this happens sometimes, right? Like the best team in the league can get beat a la Peyton Manning, a la the Jaguars versus the Broncos, because it's one game. But in a series, a multiple game series, I'm struggling to think of, in the history of modern sports, a team that was kind of the favorite, odds-on favorite, that then got swept. I don't know, maybe the Orlando Magic with Shaquille O'Neal, maybe that was, like, I just can't think of a team. I can think of teams that were heavy favorites that got beat, but swept and embarrassed and humiliated like the Avalanche. Can you think of one off the top of your head?
No, I can't. And, you can go back, and obviously the Nuggets were the first 8 seed to beat a 1. That was a 5-game series. Then the Warriors beat Dirk and the Mavericks, but that wasn't a sweep. And, an odds-on favorite that got swept? No, I can't think of one. And, you go back over the course of the NBA and the NHL, and I guess to some extent baseball, like, those Warriors teams, they didn't win it every year, but they didn't get swept out of the postseason. LeBron's teams never got swept out. It was such a quick fall, too. Like, 6 days after we were talking how they're going to win the cup, and they're 8-1 in the postseason, and they may set the record for the best record en route to winning a cup, they were eliminated. It was just the blink of an eye. And once Vegas punched them in the mouth in game 1, the Avs had absolutely no answer, which is why Jared Bednar needs to go. They had no answer for what Vegas was doing to them and how they were picking them up at the blue line. It felt like there were 7 defenders on the ice at all time for the Golden Knights, and then they would kind of put the 4 guys in a box formation basically in front of the goal and just take away shooting lanes. And, the Avs went 25 minutes and had 1 shot. 25 minutes, more than a period. It just was embarrassing of how few answers, because it was 0, how few answers they had. The 1 goal they got in game 4 was about as lucky as you can get, right? Great play by Gabe, but he takes the puck out of the air, slaps it down, and it bounces off the ice and past Hart. So, man, it was a fall from grace unlike anything I can recall in sports.
All right, so a little bit of optimism. What if the plan is this? They bring back this uber-talented roster, and they got 1 year left on Jared Bednar's deal. They let him see what he can do, but they always have in their back pocket, like Torts came in this year late. They could do a midseason or late season change to bring in that savvy veteran to whip this squad of softies into shape for the playoffs. Maybe that's the evil master plan of the Cronkies. Yes?
Well, but you would have to be underachieving in the regular season to make that move. And they're a great regular season team.
True.
So, you think about it. If let's say next year's going, it's not going to go as well as this year because this year was record setting, but let's just say it does. Like, at what point in this year would they have made that change? So you would have to be woefully underachieving in the regular season to justify.
Well, in fairness, the Nuggets were successful in the regular season. Even the year that Michael Malone got whacked with 3 games left, 8 games left, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So you can make the evaluation that we're not playoff ready, even if they're winning regular season games.
You could, and both teams don't have the mental toughness. That's what's funny about it, is they both suffer from the same problem in that they don't have the ability to respond to adversity. And to me, you take on the personality of your head coach and or your best player. And okay, so that's Jared Bednar and Nathan MacKinnon. And Nathan MacKinnon, we saw it in the Olympics. We saw it again this year. How many goals did he score in the Western Conference Finals? It'd be a big goose egg.
Mm-hmm. As much as you and I.
Yeah, exactly. And people say he's hurt. Well, he got hurt late in game 3. So he basically played 3 full games and didn't do squat. And they were down 3-0 when that was over. So I just think that, again, that's why you got to bring somebody in that's got a little bit more of a toughness to it. You need a Patrick Waugh who's ripping down the glass that separates the bench from the penalty box because he's trying to go after somebody. Instead, it's just Jared Bednar standing there looking confused. Like, I happened to watch one of those games just because where I was at without volume, so you don't know what's being said when they show Bednar, and he just looks like he's absolutely befuddled. And it's when you look at how they play and how they're unable to deal with what Vegas is doing to them, I think that's the proper response to it. So And look, if he gets fired, will he get snatched up by somebody? Probably. And if he goes somewhere where he doesn't have the best roster in hockey and has success, okay, I'll admit I was wrong, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah,
I think he's going to go to some other place and fall flat on his face in the regular season because he didn't have the best team on planet Earth.
And I did see that. We'll talk about it later in the show. On DenverSports.com, for example, there's a nice article talking about he would be probably snatched up fairly quickly by one or two other teams. That doesn't mean he's the right fit here. Correct. And he's clearly not the right fit here. Maybe I don't begrudge him. I wish he does have success somewhere else, just not against the Avalanche. All right, last thing for you. We've got it 3-4 minutes. It's officially official. The Denver Broncos will have a new home a lot sooner than I thought, in just 6 years. The Burnham Yard, that's it. There's no more little glimmer of hope that it might be in Lone Tree or somewhere else. So that's where we're going. James, are you getting dialed in? What do you think? I know before you didn't like it because of traffic, but have you softened your stance? Is this a good spot for the new home of the Denver Broncos?
It's not a good spot, but I'm still excited to see what they put together. Yeah. I mean, the Walton Penner family ownership group has been nothing short of sensational since they bought the team. So my expectation is this will be an amazing facility. The area around it will be really cool. Just getting there and getting out of there is going to be a nightmare. I mean, I bet you there's traffic there right now on a Saturday at 11:20. So that I don't like about it, but I think it's going to be a first-class place. I think they're going to have the best stadium in football. I think we're going to get Super Bowls and Final Fours and big-time events that you have to have a dome in order to get. So I'm excited about it. I'm not going to be the rain on the parade guy just because I don't like the location. And maybe by the time they put in some of the infrastructure around it, it won't be as bad as I think in terms of traffic. But sign me up. Sign me up. The current stadium was a mistake. It's the football version of New Comiskey Park. It was the last stadium built before they kind of got cool and fun. And, in baseball, it was Camden Yards and Coors Field and Jacobs Field. All those came after Comiskey. Comiskey was the last crappy one. That's kind of what Empower Field is. Since then it's been Jerry's World and SoFi and the Bird's Nest and, Allegiant and all those. So, yeah, let's have the best stadium in America. Sign me up for that.
There's going to be 2 new neighborhoods. James Marilat, your kids are getting older. Perhaps you buy a condo down there with the Marilat fortune?
Ooh, maybe. I mean, I'm 4 years away from being an empty nester.
Wow.
So that sounds kind of enticing. I could walk to restaurants and bars and the grocery store and, head over for a game, head over for the concert. By the way, who do you think's the walkout guy tonight with Morgan Wallen? It was John last night.
Is it not going to be Payton? Is he out of town?
I think Payton's the odds-on favorite. I think Bo would be number 2. I don't know who else you would be.
If you believe Zach Bo Nix is in a wheelchair.
It tells you all you need to know about this state, though. Like, yeah, the Nuggets are great, and Jokic is out. He's in London at the Arsenal game today, and the Rockies. We got the Avs and the Rockies and the Nuggets and all the rest of it. The top 3 people we can think of as Colorado celebrities are Broncos quarterbacks. You know who would be 4th? Tim Tebow. They would go nuts for Tim Tebow. You know who would be 5th? Jake Plummer. I mean,
no, Jake Plummer would not be 5th.
Yes, he's
Von Miller would be. Dude, you were the one that said Von Miller was a bigger star than John Elway in this town. Lest you forget, James Maryland. You did too.
By the way, Von Miller, the idea of bringing back Von Miller, I'll pass. Thank you.
You said he was a bigger star. I gave you credit. It's on DenverSports.com. Here you go again. You're just like everybody else on this station. I bring up something you clearly said, and you're like, "Oh, I never said that." Dan, you're a lawyer. You're distorting what I said.
Oh, I remember
it's
this
on
conversation.
DenverSports.com.
No, you're right, because that's when Von was hosting the Kentucky Derby, and I'm like, when did John ever do that on a national standpoint? Yeah, nationally, he was a bigger star. That is correct.
All right.
Locally, in terms of like a folk hero, yeah. Von's. You're right though. Von would be ahead of Plummer. He'd probably be 5th.
All right, James, I got to run.
They're all Broncos though, Dan. They're all Broncos.
All right, James Marilat, we appreciate you. I know people are fired up on the text line. Your chance to respond coming up next.
Parents, looking for a fun way to get your kid active this summer?
Are you kidding me?
Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan's 3rd annual Be a Mentor, Be a Fan Youth Football Camp is back. Brought to you by Walmart. Saturday, June 27th at Denver South High School's All-City Stadium. Your child ages 8 to 14 will learn the fundamentals of football in a safe, hands-on environment from people who played the game at the highest level. We're talking former Denver Broncos Mark Schlereth, Philip Lindsay, and Brandon Stokely, along with a trusted coaching staff from Denver South. And every dollar raised goes to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Colorado. So your family is giving back just by showing up. Sign up today at DenverSports.com/camp. That's DenverSports.com/camp.
DeerTrailMeatCo.com, DeerTrailMeatCo.com. I was talking about earlier in the show that meme that says, I saved $237 by going into the store and getting the coffee myself instead of let my wife go. I'm actually the opposite. I'm the guilty offender in our relationship. If I go to the store, I see a shiny object, I want to buy it. Buy. So just my impulse spending alone has been helped out with DeerTrailMeatCo.com because they deliver the beef to your front door. Before I had Deer Trail in my life, I was guilty. 3 times a week. I'm like, what do you want for dinner? I don't know. This steak would be good or whatever. But I would go to the store. By the time it was all said and done, I spent a bunch of money on stuff I didn't need. Plus now, with the outrageous costs of beef, you're already hurting from that. Now with DeerTrailMeatCo.com, up to 75% off what you're paying at the grocery store for this delicious beef they raise here locally. They deliver to your front door with a money-back guarantee. Just check them out. DeerTrailMeatCo.com, DeerTrailMeatCo.com.
Stoke here for ROX, Rocks Heating and Air. Are you in the market for a new air conditioner? Well, hold on. You need to think about a heat pump. My team at ROX are Colorado's heat pump experts and rebate specialists. Get up to $12,000 in energy rebates and credits. These savings are incredible, but they're only available for a limited time. Only at ROX, Rocks Heating and Air. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX, Rocks, Heating and Air.
You could sleep through the night without thinking twice. You could take a seat in the middle of the theater. You could drive without worry of where the next restroom is. You used to say yes, and somewhere along the way, you stopped. Not because of one big moment, because of 100 small ones. A little more urgency, one more trip to the bathroom at 2 a.m., one more mental note about where the restroom is. It happened slowly enough that it just became you. But it's not you. It's enlarged prostate, and there's a treatment called aquablation therapy, the only ultrasound-guided robotic-assisted therapy for enlarged prostate. Find an aquablation therapist near you. Call Aquablation Denver at 720-637-9567, 720-637-9567. That's 720-637-9567. All surgical treatments carry risks, and results may vary. Side effects may include urinary symptoms, mild pain, ejaculatory dysfunction, or infection. In rare cases, complications to the urethra and rectum may occur. Aquablation therapy may not be right for everyone. Talk to your urologist to learn more. Visit aquablationdenver.com.
Once active and adventurous, Stephanie from Parker, Colorado was sidelined by joint pain. She was losing touch with what gave her real joy.
I want to stay active, and if I don't do something now to feel better that will keep me out hiking and running and doing all those activities, my health's going to suffer from it. I had the treatment at QC Kinetics.
They're all natural regenerative treatments to use the restorative biologics from Stephanie's body. As the healing properties went to work, Stephanie realized something one day.
I was like, wow, I don't feel any pain. I have no problem going up and down stairs. I have no problem going down mountains. Snowboarding felt good again.
If you see Stephanie on a mountain, give her a thumbs up. That is, if you can catch her.
And now I can totally keep up with my friends in their 30s, and I'm 55.
Don't even think about giving up. Lots of life to live here. Call now for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 303-900-8986. That's 303-900-8986. 303-900-8986.
Flatland Cavalry. Shane Smith and the Saints. I ever see is Fiddler's Green Amphitheater, Saturday, June 20th. Get your tickets now at AXS.com.
Every hunt tells a story. Let Ty's Taxidermy in Loveland bring yours back to life. Big game, birds, fish skin mounts, and reproduction. Expert detail since 2001. Call 970-669-1119 or visit Ty'sTaxidermy.com.
KKFN and KKFN HD1 Longmont, Denver. You're listening to Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan presents the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs.
All right, our thanks to James Marilat for joining the program. A couple of things I want to get into with James. I know what he was trying to say as far as Denver Broncos quarterbacks, but yeah, we're a Broncos town, so they're going to be the most popular. But Jake Plummer? Like, Jake Plummer's not going to beat out. Who's Jake Plummer going to beat out? Right? Like
Brian Greasy?
Well, Brian Greasy, Bubby Brister, maybe. I don't believe that Jake Plummer was. People like him. He seems like a decent dude, but like, he wasn't really particularly beloved here, was he? He had like one good year.
No, people like him more now in hindsight because they were tired of the interceptions that Cutler threw. But at the time, there was a lot of people that hated Jake Plummer. I remember him getting booed a couple of times.
Well, maybe that's because he flipped off the fans and he got into like traffic, altercations and things like that. But I don't know. Seems like a decent guy, whatever. But like, he's not more popular than Rod Smith or Ed McCaffrey or Alfred Williams or Randy Gradishar, Atwater. There's probably
Brandon Stokely.
Yeah, Shannon. Well, I don't know. Do people like Shannon Sharp nowadays? Does our town still identify with all the media stuff he's done with Shannon Sharp as kind of a Bronco? I mean, he doesn't really have roots here anymore. He's a national figure. He doesn't, to my knowledge, he doesn't live here. This isn't his cup of tea. I don't really hear him come up in the conversation. But like, if he was throwing out a first pitch, would the fans be more excited to see him or whatever they're going to do at the concert or whatever, the walk we're talking about? Like, in public at a sporting event, would fans identify and be happier to see Shannon Sharp or Jake Plummer?
I think that's a great question for the RamosLaw.com text line and the Champ Honda YouTube chat, Dan.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And what do you say, Joe?
That's tough. I feel like probably Shannon Sharp, because of also the national attention that he's gotten, he's been more present in people's minds. And I think because he hasn't done TV as much recently, they're less irritated with him.
Right. And then also, take James's point a little further. Outside of Broncos, would a Jake Plummer, because his point was, in this town, if you're not a Broncos quarterback, you're second fiddle, right? And look at all these Broncos quarterbacks that get consideration. Well, I would say that Nikola Jokic enjoys a certain level of cachet above or recognition above Jake Plummer or Jake Cutler or, I mean, wouldn't you even say Bo Nix?
Just because he doesn't make public appearances as often, if you pulled Nikola Jokic out onto stage for a concert, people would lose their minds just because he's not with his horses currently.
Right. Okay, so Nikola Jokic is definitely bigger. Fact, I was surprised. John Elway seems to have really faded. So who's bigger in this town now? Is it always going to be John Elway? Or has it gotten to the point where a lot of people don't even know how good he was? So is Nikola the new king of the town or second fiddle to Payton? Is John Elway, forever he was number one on Mount Rushmore. He's still on Mount Rushmore. Is he still number one? Or is he so old that a lot of people don't know?
I mean, the older you get, that should cement your Mount Rushmore status more, right?
I would think so, but I think a lot of people just don't remember how good he was. So you got Nikola Jokic. So I'm talking about non-Broncos quarterbacks that would trump second-level Broncos quarterbacks. So Nikola, you would say. Any of the old Avs, I would think Peter Forsberg, Patrick Waugh, Joe Sack, those guys are bigger than Jake Plummer, are they not?
Yeah, I would say so, for sure.
Ray Bohr.
But are they going to go to a country show?
Of course. Why not? They liked the classic rock station when they were here, but you don't think hockey players like country?
You know what? Maybe just because I don't like country. I don't know.
Interesting. So I would say I see what James is saying, but there's plenty. Now, that is like, for example, with the Nuggets, that's the hard when you say Mount Rushmore, how far up. So, for example, Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, due to the recency of the NBA Finals, I think he would be a lot more popular than let's say, Jake Plummer or Jay Cutler or any of that. I don't think Jay Cutler's really liked here, obviously, the way he left. But Brian Greasy, I don't know, any of those guys. I would say Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater. I would say that Jamal Murray is much more beloved with the masses than, run-of-the-mill Broncos quarterback. Isn't that a fair statement?
Absolutely. Just because of the reputation he has for showing up to games in a cowboy hat and boots, Bruce Brown might get the crowd going more than Jake Plummer would.
Yeah, well, definitely before this season. Yeah, people love them some Bruce Brown. I don't know if they still like him after you just couldn't. They say you can't ever go home again. So that's it. Yeah. So I see James's point, but then also pat on the back to myself. Let me congratulate myself by busting James Merilatt trying to wiggle out of a position that he not only see. What happens is a lot of guys will say things on the radio. Zach will say something on the radio. John, Chad, these guys will say something on the radio, but they know we don't just have a transcript of whatever they said on the radio, so they can try and say, "Well, I never said that." But with James, not only did he say it, he wrote a wildly popular article on DenverSports.com trying to get over with this notion that Von Miller is a bigger star in this town than John Elway. I said,
I was wrong about Russ.
Out your darn tootin' mind. And immediately his default, just like Zach By, I never said that. You darn well did. And then by the end, within 10 or 15 seconds, he realized, oh, yeah, I know it's ridiculous, it's ludicrous, but yes, I did say that. Which, by the way, Von Miller's another good one that is probably more popular than with the masses and in Broncos history than I would say anybody outside of, is it fair to say anybody outside of Terrell Davis, Peyton Manning, and John Elway? I mean, Von Miller's up there. He's as big as it gets as far as Broncos stars, I would say. The other thing from the conversation that I would love to hear from you guys on the Champ Honda YouTube chat line or the RamosLaw.com text line, I was thinking about it before the show, and then James brought it up too. Empower Field. Is anybody going to be sad to see that place go? When Mile High Stadium went down, there was such a, I don't want to say outcry, but we were upset. And so they actually had to name the new stadium. They still wanted to be able to make the money off of selling the rights, the naming rights. So they called it at the time, I think it was, what was it, Invesco Field at Mile High.
Yeah, and then every sponsor afterwards. So it's Empower Field at Mile High right now. It's always going to be the sponsor at Mile High.
But is the new one? I bet you it's not. They're not afraid. I would think that you would want a clean break from anything associated with Mile High because you want to reset your own brand. If you're building a city onto itself, kind of, with a new Burnham Yard Bronco Land, I don't want people to be like, oh, yeah, it's Mile High Stadium. No, it's something new, something fresh, something different. It's not in the same spot, like Empower Field was right next to where Mile High Stadium was. But, yeah, so the point being, Mile High Stadium was beloved. Joe, did your tailgating days go back that far? Old South Stands at Mile High Stadium?
Oh, yeah, we kept a piece of the South Stands, one of the benches. When in the very last game of the season, my dad, I didn't get to go to that game, sadly, but my dad took a piece of the bench. There's a picture of me as a little kid standing in between the one being torn down and the one being built up between Mile High and Invesco. But I disagree, Dan. I think they will want to keep the name Mile High synonymous with the station.
Okay, so question for you guys. Will you miss all the great memories you had at Empower Field? Are you thirsty for something new? Final segment of the Dan Jacobs Show coming up next.
It's the ultimate showdown for a great cause. Setting up the ultimate gold medal showdown. On June 11th, Brandon Stokely goes head-to-head with Zach By in 100 Holes for Kids. 100 holes of golf. It's a one-day event all to raise money for Recruiting Classroom, whose mission it is to help kids play sports. Who will raise the most? That's where you come in. Pick your player, make your donation, and help kids win. To support Brandon Stokely, head to StokelyCares.com. To support Zach By, head to ZachCares.com.
Hi folks, Dan Cicchini, Done Right Home Improvements. My wife Susan and I started Done Right in our garage in 1985, doing a little of everything. We've grown to be one of the largest companies of our kind in Colorado, specializing in kitchens, baths, counters, floors, finished basements, and windows and doors. Serving Colorado 40 years. And what an adventure it's been. We've learned that the fundamentals of a successful business never change. That is, treat people like you want to be treated, do good work, price fairly, and back up what you say. That's our success formula. Here's our son Todd.
That's right, Dad. Been hearing that my whole life from you and Mom. Folks, whether it's a first-class kitchen renovation, an awesome turnkey bathroom remodel, a full-service basement finish for some extra space, or replacement windows and doors that will wow you, give us a call. With an 8% scheduling incentive and bank financing to ask about, now couldn't be a better time.
Kitchens, baths, counters, and floors, finished basements, windows, and doors. You have our word. We'll treat you right at Done Right. Call us to reserve your spot in our schedule. 303-722-2295, 800-362-8370, or drhi.com.
This evening, you're different. Over the day, you meet people, you make decisions, you face challenges and made a mistake or two. Bit by bit, everything changed you. And you're better for it. This is Garrett Jamron. I'm part of the Alpine Bank family, member FDIC. Take a look at the enormous changes in our children. So many are graduating, not just from high school, but from pre, elementary, and junior high schools. Others from college. Still more from one job to another. Graduations are daily treasures because they change you, make you better. Each takes you into the next stage of your life. Why would Alpine Bank share this with you? Easy. We could talk about checking accounts, or we could talk about you. It wasn't a difficult choice.
Your roof's the single most important part of your house. Snow and high winds can damage your roof. Don't trust your roof to any fly-by-night roofing companies. Call the professionals at Golden Spike for a free roof inspection and tell them you heard about it on The Fan. They're a locally owned company and a Team Dave Logan member.
Call Golden Spike Roofing when your roof needs a fix. 303-942-1386. Golden Spike Roofing.
This is Terry Wickstrom. Are you looking to buy a home that fits your senior needs? Consider a home equity conversion mortgage for purchase. With this innovative financing option, you can use the equity in your current home or savings as the down payment. With the FHA-insured HECM reverse mortgage loan, you may be able to buy a higher value home and keep substantial cash for savings with no required payments. For more information, call Mike Rabin at 303-396-2804 or go to madrivermortgage.com and MLS 1504779.
You're listening to the Honorable Judge Dan Jacobs on Denver Sports, 104.3 The Fan.
Final segment of the Dan Jacobs Show, just for today. Tomorrow we'll be back at it bright and early. Not that early, but if you want bright and early, you listen to Kyle and Cello. They'll be on 7 to 10 a.m. And then the easy, like Sunday morning edition of the Dan Jacobs Show will be here back at it for another 3 hours, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. tomorrow. And then a couple weeks off. You get a little break because we're heading to Northern Ireland for 2 weekends. Basically I'll have to miss 2 weekends worth of shows. Going to visit. They do it once every 5 years. A tour of, it's called DeLorean Eurofest. And you get to go tour the old factory and ride in a DeLorean. The original DeLorean test track is still there. So we get to jump in a DeLorean and ride around that. And then, go check out Northern Ireland, all that stuff. So I'll be gone. Hopefully coming back with a suitcase full of DeLorean memorabilia, stuff like that. I told my kids, you can take whatever you want out there, but you may have to throw some clothes out on the way back because we may be stuffing all the suitcases full of DeLorean stuff. So, want to go out to the ramoslaw.com text line. Dan, I think one of the questions you should ask is how many people will keep their season tickets when it comes to the new stadium and there's a 5,000 or a 10,000 seat charge? I've had my tickets for a long time, but once that happens, I'm giving them back. I'm going to ask you this seriously, texter. If it's only $5,000 or $10,000 per seat, I guess it depends on where your seats are, but I think it's going to be more than that. I think most fans, in the upper level, what's now called the 500 section, maybe it's $5,000 a seat, maybe it's a little bit less. I think everywhere else in the stadium is fair game, and I think $5,000 to $10,000 will probably be cheap. Now, are you honestly going to give back your season tickets, or are you just going to grumble and pay it if they're only $5,000 or $10,000 for the PSLs? If you have 2 seats, if it's $5,000, that's $10,000. But now we know the clock is running, so you'll have to have that probably within 5 years. So what we've learned is when these PSLs come, it'll be you have to pay the PSLs for all the seats in full before the season starts, in addition to your season tickets. So let's just, I'll use my season tickets as an example. Right now I have 2 season tickets. They cost me, I believe, a total of $4,500 for the pair. I am guessing that those tickets are going to be, because they're good seats, and they are a tremendous value. $4,500 for a pair of Broncos tickets. I think they're 16 rows up from the field. Phenomenal value. Even though they just raised our ticket prices they raised the ticket prices every year, and I think they went up 20% this year. Still a very a good value. But let's say by then they're probably going to be closer to $8,000, so $4,000 a ticket. My guess would be those seats that close to the field are probably going to be $20,000 to $25,000 per seat. So I would have to come up with $50,000 for the right to buy the tickets, and let's call it $8,000 to $10,000 additional dollars for the seats themselves. So that's $60,000 in one lump sum, or close to it at one time, to keep these tickets, and then they go down to $8,000 to $10,000 a year again after that every year.
Well, they better have a pretty good payment plan there, Dan.
No, there's no payment plans. That's what I'm saying. We found that out. I thought,
there always is.
No, there's going to be, payment plan right now is not what you're making it out to sound like, Joe. Like, the payment plan is right now, my understanding is you can make one payment in like June, and then the next payment is prior to the season in August or September or something like that. Like, it's you can break it down into 2 payments. That's it. I had assumed that for PSLs, when you're asking somebody for $50,000, it is, so you're saying 2 to 5 years.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing right here on Google is that they usually range from 2 to 5 years, with one payment usually being due annually and no interest accruing on these payments. That doesn't still make it okay, but that does make it a little bit easier to swallow.
When I looked, it was saying that, and this is going to be different team by team, but they didn't want people to be sitting in those seats and then not having paid the PSL, and then what if they just stop paying, right? So they were going to require, most teams require, now they may 2 or 3 years out say, 3 years from now, you got to be all paid up, and then you can make payment plans along that way. But I was with you, Joe. I thought, it'd be a little bit more palatable. It would suck to pay $50,000, but if I could finance it out for 5 years, maybe I could make that happen.
Yeah, I think you'd be able to do that.
I'm not sure. I'll do some more research this weekend or tonight before the show tomorrow. My understanding is no, they're not going to let you do that, and you'll have to be completely paid up, and you'll have to have your season tickets paid up before the start of that season 6 years from now.
All right, folks, so the AI that I use to search and the AI that Dan used to search are going to have a fight later, because what I'm looking at is it says an initial deposit ranging from 10 to 20% of the total cost will be up front, and then the payment duration can be over 2 to 5 years, offer extended options up to 10 years at some people or some stadiums, and then milestone payments every year to make sure you're paying something every year.
Yeah, so we'll do a little more digging. I would prefer you be right as opposed to what I saw. Because, that I think will be the sticking point. But I could see why the team's like, no, I'm not going to finance out your PSL, because what if you don't pay it? Then you just got to sit in the seats without having paid the full PSL. That's the whole point of the PSL. You're buying the right to have the license to buy the seats. But $60,000 for something I used to be paying $4,500 for a year, that's a tough pill to swallow. The texter that said, if it's $5,000 or $10,000 a seat, I'm out. Would you really be? Would you really be out if it were for $5,000 or $10,000 extra per seat. I don't think at that level, I think people would just grin and bear it. They'd grumble, they'd threaten to leave, but you're still one of a very small group of people that have the privilege of being in Broncos Stadium. Whereas there's right now over 100,000 people on the wait list. Now, it's a good question. Depending on how far they go, would that wait list shrivel and evaporate? Or would some people step out and then the next people go, yep, take my money. Take my money, please. Judge Dan, I love your show. Listen to Irvin Joe when they did middays, 9 to noon on K-Big. I respect your charity. I also observe that your financial successes tended to make you sound elitist. Tell me it's not so. What do you mean financial success? You don't know my financial success. I hope not to sound elitist, though, because I am not an elitist. But I appreciate you listening. That's fine. I appreciate that other people are not. I'm always up and down. Like my thing changes all the time, but I appreciate that different people are in different financial situations. It appears to me, that's why I always give James a hard time about, the Marilat fortune. The Broncos are going to go after those types, the types with the big money that can write the big checks and they can make their money, which obviously they're in business. I don't begrudge that. I just hope they don't price out the fan, because the fan has, just tell me what time. The fan has got this franchise to where it is, worth what it is, and they're going to make all the money that they need to make. All right, we are done for today. We will see you tomorrow. Like I said, bright and early. Kyle and Cello at 7 a.m. Easy like Sunday morning edition of the Dan Jacobs Show at 10 a.m. We'll see you then.
He's Judge Dan J. He doesn't mean no harm, but he doesn't mind telling you he's right, you are wrong. He's reading your checks, he's taking your calls. It's the Dan Jacobs Show, and he'll decide what the law will allow.
Summer is calling, and we're sending you to the lake in style. Download the Denver Sports app to enter our Day at the Lake contest for your chance to win everything you need for that perfect lake day. You get 2 paddle boards, 2 chairs, a cooler, pop-up tent, and Bluetooth speaker. Oh, and did we mention you also get a $250 gift card to fill up that cooler? Download the Denver Sports app now and enter today. We'll see you at the lake. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hey guys, boy Stink here today by my long-term buddy Troy Hansford. And if you're thinking about selling your house for any reason, now might be the time to sell, still get top dollar. Believe it or not, my guy Troy is still offering his $5,000 guarantee. What is it, you ask? Well, if you can't sell your house at your price on your timeline that you agree upon beforehand, bam, going to cut you a check for $5,000. Who else makes the offer? Nobody I've ever heard of. And he makes that offer because he continues to spend a ton of money marketing his listings, has about 100 families approved and ready to buy right now. And if for any reason you need to sell right away, Troy can buy your house all cash and he can close in as little as 7 days. You have a house to sell, Troy probably has that perfect buyer for you right now, waiting for you to pick up the phone and to call him. Call Troy, get your home sold for the most money. That's 720-944-3333, 720-944-33. Troy Hansford of RE/MAX Professionals, a Colorado licensed broker. Some restrictions do apply. You want to sell your house? Then call my buddy Troy, 720-900-4433.
The playoffs are full of surprises. Underdogs, overtime thrillers, sudden upsets. But when it comes to your facility's electrical systems, you don't want surprises. For over 40 years, Piper Electric has powered complex commercial and industrial projects, from large-scale distribution to fire alarms and preventative maintenance. Their licensed electricians help reduce downtime, control cost, and keep operations running smoothly. Got a project coming up? Don't leave it to chance. Include Piper Electric in your bid process. Visit piperelectric.com.
if you're going to ask her to spend the rest of your life with you, shouldn't you give her a diamond worthy of that journey?
One that you can give her with no regrets?
A diamond that shines like no other.
That's why our family started Williams Jewelers over 75 years ago. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Bruce Williams. Today, Williams Jewelers is Denver's finest diamond engagement ring store with 10 times the selection of diamonds, engagement rings, and wedding bands you'll find in average stores.
Where you get a lifetime quality guarantee that protects you for the life of the ring.
A lifetime diamond upgrade guarantee.
A 30-day money-back price and total satisfaction guarantee.
And no regrets.
Give her a diamond worthy of her and your money's worth.
Say will you with Williams.
Where Colorado shines.
Williams Jewelers, we can make diamonds a part of your life.
Williams Jewelers in Cherry Creek North on 3rd Avenue between Fillmore and Detroit, the official jeweler of the Colorado Avalanche.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey, Stoke here for ROX Rocks Heating and Air. Summer is coming in hot. Don't wait. Beat the rush with an early bird cooling system tune-up and inspection for only $49 from Rocks Heating and Air. They'll inspect your system and keep you cool when everyone else is scrambling. Call ROX Rocks Heating and Air today and schedule your tune-up before the end of May. Now play that jingle.
HVAC service, installation, repair. ROX Rocks Heating and Air.
Parents, looking for a fun way to get your kid active this summer?
Are you kidding me?
Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan's 3rd annual Be a Mentor, Be a Fan Youth Football Camp is back. Brought to you by Walmart. Saturday, June 27th at Denver South High School's All-City Stadium. Your child, ages 8 to 14, will learn the fundamentals of football in a safe, hands-on environment from people who played the game at the highest level. We're talking former Denver Broncos Mark Schlereth, Philip Lindsay, and Brandon Stokely, along with a trusted coaching staff from Denver South. And every dollar raised goes to Big Brothers Big Sisters of Colorado. So your family is giving back just by showing up. Sign up today at denversports.com/camp. That's denversports.com/camp.
Meet Matthew Preston. Inside his apartment, everything he holds dear is protected by Progressive's renter's insurance, like his laptop and a surprisingly valuable collection of baseball bobbleheads. Outside his apartment, his laptop is still protected, as are his bobbleheads, which he carries around with him for reasons no one knows. Renters, the limits of protection aren't just the 4 walls of your home. When you're in Progressive's Protection Zone, get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now it's the final days of our Everything's on Sale event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses. Our Memorial Day event ends Monday. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Between groceries, travel, and higher prices, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, especially if you're already relying on credit cards to cover the basics. If that debt is piling up, you're not alone. If you're a homeowner, you might have considered reaching out to American Financing, but hesitated because you don't want to give up your low mortgage rate. That's why American Financing created the Smart Equity Loan, a simple, smart way to get your finances back on track without giving up your low mortgage rate. Unlike a HELOC, which can fluctuate with the market, the Smart Equity Loan offers a fixed rate, so